Woo!
Wham!
Wham! Bam! Thank you, ma'am.
That's the sound of us fucking snapping out of it.
That's the sound of us snapping into it. Cube.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, cool. You want me to... I'll just open us up, and then you want to follow my lead?
Sure.
Okie dokie. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mount Molehill. Remember this one? Hi.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Mount Molehill.
Welcome to this week's episode of Mount Molehill. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers who have been so loyally giving us $43 million every single week for the past 4 years.
Every week. We had to skip a few weeks. We ran
schedules got a little crazy.
Business.
Yeah, no, everything's all taken care of now. So don't worry, everybody. We're back, and I hope you're excited for next week's episode. This week's episode.
Yes. Yeah, actually, we're just here to say, guys, sorry to say, no new episode this week.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We just wanted to pop in to let you know, no new episode this week. Sorry.
We know you value our communication on this matter.
Oh yeah, it's really important that we stay fully transparent here at Mount Molecast.
There will be no new episode this week, so tune in next week for
Penny. That's a lie. You're lying, because there totally is a new episode this week.
You got me.
I got her. Silly Goose was in town, and her name was Penny.
Right. Everybody, I'm not a fucking goose. I'm a human fucking being. If you dehumanize me one more time on this podcast,
everybody, thank you so much for coming to Halloweentown is what we're doing this episode. Penny, have you ever seen Halloweentown? This is really important.
No.
Before this, I mean.
No.
No. Okay, so you came into this with a completely blank slate. You had never engaged with this one before.
No.
That surprises me, because I feel like Halloweentown is one of the default ones, like the ones that everybody's seen, you know? Like fucking...
Yeah, it's definitely popular. I feel like we need like a more official intro. I feel like that's like cold open type.
I mean, what do they expect after 4 years, you know? Like, they're gonna fucking take what they get.
Yeah, but like, can you imagine how exciting it's gonna be when it's like this is where we show our hand that we didn't even like listen to a previous episode before coming back.
I know, but like, what do you think they would like that, or do you think they would?
We literally forgot how to make the show.
Oh yeah, well here's the thing.
Well, because I know we say like welcome to Mount Molehill, the podcast. The podcast.
Oh right,
where
we make something out of nothing. Yes.
Do we say it's Disney Channel?
No,
you say a DCOM podcast where you make something out of nothing?
I don't think so. I don't remember. Also, is this gonna go in the episode? I can't even tell
Who
anymore.
cares? Well, like this
cares?
We'll fix it in post. Like
we will literally, yeah.
You cut it at like a good cold open. We do the intro, and then it's like, hello, welcome to Mount Molehill, a show where we make podcasts out of nothing.
Check it out.
Podcasts out of thin air.
I'll try to redo the intro, and you see if you like the energy, and you can try to build off of it again. You want to just like
listen? Like, see how we used to do it?
Like, no. Like, I kind of just want to figure it out.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. All right.
I'll take the fucking brunt of this one.
I can't believe she wants to fucking take away my irony poisoning. She wants to like, give effort to this. It's ridiculous.
Okay, well, maybe episode 3 is not the best example, because literally the first thing you do is you go, "Hi everybody, my name is Penny, you do it." Fucking hell.
I mean, I guess what that means is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
I guess it really doesn't matter. Hi everybody, welcome to Mount Molehill, a podcast where we make something.
Well, we can't do it now. No,
I'm doing it now. You said we wanted to get into it. Let's do it now.
Hi everybody, welcome to Mount Molehill. My name is
welcome to Bounce Bull
My name is Justin McElroy. Welcome. My name is Scout Young. This is Penny.
Penny Barker. Hello. I can say my own name.
And this is a show where we make something out of nothing. Last week, we talked about the 13th Night. What was the movie? You have to
Last week we talked about "'Twas the Night." It was
Night.
It was an episode where I brought absolutely nothing to the table.
And then I talked about my Christmas traditions for maybe 40 minutes.
And it was very sweet. And I remember enjoying that quite a bit.
It was fun. It was, except for the haters in the comments. They hated that one.
The haters.
That's okay. We don't make it for the haters.
The haters who are always making fun of us for skipping a couple weeks. Guys, we got stuff going on. There's no this.
Do you know how hard it is to watch a movie?
Like every few weeks. And then talk about it.
We're fucking pulling teeth here. All right.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay, we're back for a Halloween sort of reunion here. We figured it's actually, I think, been almost exactly 4 years since we released the first episode of the show. So we're like, you know what? Let's bring it back. Let's try to pick things back up again where we left off. Last week was a seasonal episode.
Yeah. Hey, this week is too.
This week, we got Halloween.
Yeah.
which is how that sequence works out.
That's how the calendars are usually marked in my house. And my house is in Crazy World.
My house is crazy and perverted, and things aren't the way they should be.
The Joker calls my house a home or something. I don't fucking know.
That's so nice. It's really good to know that he's got like a stable place to hang out.
I just think he's really been down on his luck, and it's been really showing in his behavior. And so I decided to give him a place to stay for a little bit.
Oh, that's really in the Halloween spirit of you to do.
You know what's also in the Halloween spirit? Town. What is about this movie? Can you tell me about Halloweentown? Because this is a movie that was released in 1998 by the Disney.
Yeah, okay. So before we got into our big argument that will be edited out of the episode about how we actually start the episode.
That's right.
Yeah, so we were talking about Halloweentown. This is like a popular one.
Yes. This is like up there with like Cadet Kelly and Smart House and fucking Girl
Bingo's
Xenon, whatever.
Bingo's Day Gay.
Bingo's Big Dog. Yeah, that was a really big one. Johnny's House.
Yeah, and in particular, I actually think I've heard more about the sequels to this movie than the movie itself. But like there's a Halloweentown franchise.
Which is weird because like I mean. After watching the movie, I can kind of understand how it could have gotten a franchise, because this is, to be frank here, this is pre like Harry Potter movies, so this is before the big bang of wizard shit.
You know what? I actually wondered about that, because not to like get ahead of ourselves, but there's a scene where like they're looking at brooms, and like one of the brooms is called like the fucking Shithead 5000 or something, and I was like, is that like a Harry Potter thing? Are they trying to do like a direct? But like no, it came out before. Maybe it was just inspired by the book.
The Shithead 5000, my favorite.
The Shithead
broom.
5000.
Yeah,
yes.
So I do legitimately think, because I'm pretty sure the first Harry Potter movie, I don't fucking know, but I'm pretty sure it came out in 1998, which is the same year this movie came out. So it's like they are in direct competition, and frankly, we're in the bad timeline where Halloweentown lost. Should have been Halloweentown.
Yeah, I was gonna say our audience is gonna love first episode back Mount Molehill. We jump into the Harry Potter history.
Oh yeah, the discourse. No, don't worry. We got plenty of wizard shit to talk about. None of it made by a racist. I think.
That's right.
I didn't really do much research into the production.
Let's not
jinx ourselves, but we can talk about jinxes and wizards and witches, because our story begins on Halloween
Let's jinx
night.
Someone else, like the old man at the cobbler shop who seems to not think that Halloween is the truth. I don't want to get into it. It's actually,
you don't want to talk about your beef with the shoemaker down the road?
No, it's like real genuine drama that would just get like way too personal way too quickly.
Scout, like, really, I don't want to. This is not a good energy to bring into this episode.
It's not appropriate.
I'm sorry.
It's a bad
you know what? My bad. We can cut this out. Oh, spooky! Oh, Halloweentown. Coming down into the fucking pumpkin. The first shot of the movie is we're zooming into a scary, scary pumpkin. It actually reminded me a lot of the beginning of Eraserhead, if you've ever seen that movie. David Lynch film.
I have not.
Which actually, it makes a lot of sense. Or it maybe is not that crazy of a connection, because I brought this up to you. The director of this movie was actually an editor on Twin Peaks, very famous David Lynch thing. Yeah.
The intro of this movie kind of goes extremely hard.
Yeah. It's
in no small part because of the music. I did not know this movie was scored by Mark Mothersbaugh, or like, I actually don't know how you say his name.
I think that's right. That sounds right.
Who is like just a really like prolific composer. He's in like a shit ton of stuff. I didn't know he was working this early on stuff like Halloweentown, but like he's the guy behind, like, I'm pretty sure he did like, he did the Lego movie, or was that?
No, that was Chris Pratt.
That was not Chris Pratt. It's he does a lot of stuff. Very prolific composer.
I've heard the name before. It might just be because like my brain is the anti-IMDb where I can never remember a single person that anybody.
He did the Lego movie. He did the Lego. Okay, I was right about that. Yeah. What? Super good composer. This
oh my god
theme.
This guy is in Devo? Mark Mothersbaugh is a member of fucking Devo? What?
Wait, I don't know about that.
Devo? Dude, whip it. Into shape. Sorry. I fucking love Devo. I didn't even fucking realize. I'm a fake fan. I'm a fake fan of Halloweentown and Devo, apparently.
Hey, that's okay. That's what we're here to change. The intro song slaps.
Yes. A lot of things about the production slap. There's a lot of like really good like set design. Okay, fuck. Okay, let's keep talking because I want to talk more about the movie.
Yeah.
So it comes down right on the main character's house, the Cromwell household, and it comes down and you can see a bunch of the kids. It's already Halloween night. It's already begun. Sorry. And you can see all the kids walking around in their little pirate uniforms and their fairy uniform. What are they called? Costumes.
Yeah.
Costumes are like uniforms for kids. Anyway, we zoom in on the house at the back of the street, and you can see a really sad, forlorn little girl in the window. Is the littlest sister of the
littlest
Cromwell.
Face you ever saw.
just the littlest character that's ever been in a movie. And her name is Sophie Cromwell.
That must be the main character of the movie. And again, not to get ahead of myself, she should be. But that's neither here nor there.
Really? Oh, I'm excited to hear about your argument for this. But no, she unfortunately, in the perfect world, the smallest character in the movie would always be the main character. But unfortunately, we're living in America and not the perfect world. So we zoom in on this little girl named Sophie, and she's all sad and stuff. And then we see another girl.
So I love the Smurfs franchise.
Yes. See, they know how to do it. They know what they're doing.
I was such a big fan of Alvin and the Chipmunks as a kid. I knew what was right and moral in the world, and they're taking it away from me.
Play Pikmin unless you don't want to get into heaven, I guess.
That's right.
And then we get into the fun teen drama, the 90s teen drama that Disney Channel always assumes, which is, teen girl arguing with mom about.
I'm 13 now. I'm practically an adult.
I used to think like that. She's so right.
I literally used to think like, God damn, she's spin. I can't wait until I'm 13 and can say things like that. And then, you get to 13 and you're like, I'm the littlest creature that the world ever saw.
and then you turn 15 and you're like, a 13-year-old is like a fetus, basically.
Right.
It's undeveloped still. But I thought at the very beginning, because Marnie is this character, the teenage girl who is being introduced, who is arguing with her mom. She's arguing with two friends who want her to go out to do Halloween activities with her, like egg a house or get candy from a house or something.
Or TP a house.
Or TP a house or go inside or outside of another house to do something else to it, or inside of it or outside of it.
That's right.
That's right, which are the only things you can do on Halloween.
Parents keep an eye out.
I really thought they were going to be more important, these two girls that were behind Marnie, just because, I don't know. No, they just kind of go away.
They have side character vibes. They have like lackey vibes, like they're very they're funny.
Yeah, and they got lines, and they make fun of Marnie a little bit, which is kind of cool. But then they go away from the movie and then never come back. Which I imagine as a kid in 1998, that probably would have been like a gay feeling, like gay feeling, where it's like, man, I got this movie gig and I only get 3 lines, then I fucking have to go home. Lame.
Right.
Yeah. But they go home and Marnie's sad, and her mother seems very, very weirdly anti-Halloween. So much so that you actually see in their household that they're very anti-magic in general.
Every time like she'll be watching a TV, and every time like a commercial pops up and it's like, it works like magic, she's like, no, it doesn't.
I love that. Those are my favorite scenes in the movie, is when after the kids have gone to bed and the mom is just like watching TV and like eating a shit ton of candy.
I know, she's like kind of cute.
Yeah,
I really like this. I feel for this mom. We can get into it.
Oh, we can get the fuck into Gwen.
We can get into into it.
But
I love Gwen, yeah.
right after this, after Marnie, we're introduced to Dylan, who is the younger brother of Marnie, older brother of Sophie.
Can I say it?
Please.
The fucking best character in the movie.
Best
by
character.
far.
100%.
He is an
Dylan,
absolute highlight.
he's such a cute little kid, and he's such a shithead little fucking dork know-it-all.
He's such a sniveling little brat, and he's so funny.
And he's the best, and he's always got like the best one-liners and shit, and it's great. And I said this to Penny, but he reminds me so much of like an 80s like B horror movie actor, like fucking Reanimators type beat, you know, and
yeah.
I really dig that. I think it's because he's wearing a bow tie and a striped button-up shirt, fucking dork.
Right.
And he's just so great. He's like, according to my calculations, you know.
He's also like, not for nothing, he's the best actor in the entire movie.
Oh yeah.
and I'm talking about like against. Well, actually, there's one other adult character that I think does like, you know, a better job. But like,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, he is like the second best actor in the entire movie
against the adults as well. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Against the adults, and like considering the role that he was given, he is like he's hamming it up in the most appropriate way possible.
He chomps the scenes.
He hams it up respectfully.
He's a fucking expert.
He's so good. He's so funny.
An interesting thing about Dylan is sort of what he as a character says about like the Cromwell household, because it really underlines that he was definitely raised in a house where like they were very anti-magic, because he's super grounded in science. He's always talking about like, oh well, there's a logical explanation for everything, you know, like you don't want to be filling your mind with all these like kooky stories about vampires and ghosts and stuff. Let's focus on the real world, you know.
So for context, Gwen is a single mother, so there's no dad in the house.
Yes.
I assume it is very much implied that Dylan very much kind of takes after his father. And because I assume his father, and we'll kind of get into why I assume this as much later, but his father was almost certainly like kind of a man of science, right?
Right.
Like, and probably like instilled this kind of interest in science and reason and logic on this kid. And so, yeah, he very much like parrots the idea that like, you know, magic isn't real. Give me a good nature documentary any day, is what he says.
Yes. Oh my God. Fucking little Poindexter piece of shit Twinkle Toes. I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
He's seen. I tried figuring out what book he was reading at the very beginning. It's called The Flagship.
Oh, I figured it out.
Really?
I'll get into it.
Okay. Oh,
well, like I at least the title. Yes, the title. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's important.
Good to know. Chat. If you didn't know, chat. What the fuck? Listeners, if you didn't know, we make up little theories. I don't even think we talked about that. You're gonna love it. Don't worry. Just keep listening if you've never heard the song before. The song podcast. Fuck. I'm so nervous.
I love it. It's great. Let's keep it going. We're doing it live.
So at this point, you know, it's kind of established that the kids are, you know, they're hanging out, and mom says you can't go out and have fun, and Marnie's like, oh, you treat us, you want to isolate us. You're not giving us any of the opportunities that we need to have and go out and be cool and teenager with all the other ones. And mom's like, I don't care. Bye, because that's her role as the mom, is to be the authority figure that says no and bye.
Yeah, she says, I don't care, not gonna elaborate, bye, see ya.
Exactly. And the thing is,
I'm gonna go eat candy in the fucking kitchen.
The thing is, they kind of never do elaborate why the mom is so
Again,
icky.
this is very important to my point. She is so single-minded in her desire, but the thing is, she implies that there is more, and they never elaborate, and we'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah. No, there's... So... They go into the kitchen. Sophie is like, oh, I want a fucking cookie before dinner. And mom's like, no, you can't do that for obvious reasons. You're a child. You wouldn't understand. You'll learn when you're older. And then Sophie's like, oh, I want that freaking cookie. And then she turns around and the cookie, oh, it starts picking up off the plate and it floats over to her. Whoa.
Literally wrote down in my notes, cookie magic?
Cookie?
There's some fucking cookie magic in this movie.
They had cookie magic.
My next few notes are really funny because I like kind of forgot how to take notes for these movies since it's been so long. And so I literally just started like barfing out like recognition of objects and things that I'm seeing on my screen. Easily. So my next three notes are cookie magic, bones bag, the 13th year.
Oh my fuck. What? I don't even know.
That was something that I noted.
I just thought of
I think it's very interesting that yet again they're on this, like, when the kid turns 13, this is like
Yes, no, I just first
an
of all
important
that,
day for them.
and also a lot of the imagery in 13th Year is feel we'll get into it. Oh baby, we'll get into it. Oh, you know it's Mount Molehill when we keep saying we'll get into it because man, there's so much to get into.
I'm so excited.
So at that point, we cut outside because Sophie's like, somebody's coming, and we cut outside and we see on the dark corner, nobody's there, none of the trick or treaters or nothing. A bus comes flying out of the sky, and a bus stop stand with like a little cobweb design on it manifests out of nowhere on the corner as the bus stops about 10 feet in the air. It opens the door and Grandma floats down, sort of like Mary Poppins style, with a living bag that she sort of has to coax off the bus. I don't know, it's cute, whatever, who cares? Doesn't really mean much. She comes to the house after the cookie magic scene, and she comes in and she's like, "Oh, you're lucky she doesn't want liver, right?" Talking about how Sophie made
I don't get that joke, by the way.
Oh,
I don't get that one.
I think the implication is that Sophie is very powerful, and if that she wanted liver, that she would have unconsciously ripped her mother's liver out. That is that is what I think. That is what I think that the joke was implying.
Holy shit! Oh my god! Wait, you're totally right.
So anyway, it's implied that Grandma never comes around. We'll get into that. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And Grandma immediately sort of obviously shocks Mom, who it seems like she didn't really think she'd be coming, even though it is also implied that this is sort of the only night that Grandma can come. But then also later on, it's kind of implied that that's not who cares? It's a Disney Channel original movie.
It's whatever, yeah.
Fast and Loose.
I do have maybe an explanation for some of the weird time stuff. I mean, well, the movie itself has a weird. It's what the fuck ever.
They're playing Fast and Loose.
Yeah.
Grandma comes in and she's all bringing the Halloween cheer, like, "Oh, what if you could dress up as a character or eat candy?"
She brings the Bones bag.
She brings Bones bag. Could you explain Bones bag, please?
Yeah. So Grandma comes in. Everybody's so excited. They're like, "Give and then yes. She plops down this bag on the floor, and she's like, "It's time to celebrate Halloween."
Ooh.
And the literal first thing she pulls out of the bag is a full skeleton.
A full, not even disassembled. It's fully intact.
It is fully intact. So she's really playing her hand early on. By the way, this grandma is, I believe, played by Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds. Oh, Ryan Reynolds' mom?
Yeah. She's known for playing in films such as Singin' in the Rain.
Oh.
Where she played the lead role.
Fuck.
She was very, very famous pull for this movie. I'm not hugely familiar, but I do know. I did want to just point that out.
So much sense. And also, I mean, it's reminding me that the fucking 12th Night, or whatever the fuck the last movie we watched last week was, it had Bryan Cranston as just like the main guy, which is like DCOM's had like, they had Disney movie and they were spending
They used to have like big fucking names in these movies, man.
Yeah.
Like they really like they stopped doing that shit.
I think the nature of celebritydom changed a lot in the past like 30 years. And I think like what celebrities were to society has changed, and how they show up and what their expectations are, and how they're treated. I feel like they've almost become like pseudo royalty at this point, which is entirely unrelated to the Disney Channel original movie Halloweentown.
Hey, look! A pentagram.
Oh fuck! Yeah, Marnie totally.
One of the.
Yeah, go ahead.
She fucking So back to the bag. That is one of the funniest shots. It literally cracks me the fuck up every time.
Oh,
her line delivery and the way the shot lingers is so like uncanny, and this is not even connected to my theory.
No, me neither.
Personally,
it's like
it's just so fucking funny. She literally like the shot like macro zooms in on her hand, and she pulls out an amulet with a pentagram on it, and she just goes, "Hey, look up!" And like the audio gets louder. She's like, "A pentagram." And
it's just like it's so weirdly like focused on it, and like
I know, like you think it's gonna. They do it in a way that makes you think it's gonna be important. It is not.
They do this whole extended reference to this 1930s movie, the Wolfman, where she's like, it's just like that movie where this guy gets bit, and like fucking. First of all, I don't think she would know that shit. I mean, I guess she kind of does, because it's implied that her whole deal is that she likes spooky stuff. Like that's her. Yeah. Her whole her little weird teenage hyperfixation is like banshees and shit.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I wrote down this line as a joke later. Let's keep going. But yeah, no, she has like a special interest in like
Halloween, spooky,
and magic and Halloween and spooky stuff. Yeah,
and so this is sort of naturally showing where she and her mother tend to sort of. It's not just that she wants to go hang out with her friends; it's that she also has this, sort of looming fascination with the creepy and the occult. And the pentagram, like that's the pentagram.
Hey, look, a pentagram.
The pentagram and what it means, by the way, which is like a sign that a werewolf is gonna come kill you, or like a sign of bad luck. Like it doesn't even come. Like there's no werewolf in this movie. Like it's just they just bring up a pentagram and then they talk about werewolves.
Not in the plot, at least. There is a werewolf featured in this movie.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Not prominently though. There's no major werewolf plot line aside from the pentagram and the Wolfman pull, which is kind of weird. But I digress. They talk about a bunch of like, oh, Halloween, it's so awesome, and then Grandma gives them some costumes, and the little brother is very clearly a Viking, and he calls himself a pimple, even though he's a Viking. I don't get it. I don't, Dylan's kind of, it's inconsistent. I thought
Kid's a stupid little shit.
I thought he was supposed to be smart, script writers. Come on.
I thought he was supposed to be.
This is your. Come on. If he's just gonna be the comedic relief, you're pulling me out of the realism of the fucking story.
Literally, come on.
Yeah, let's treat your characters with respect. Anyway,
that's right. Because as grandma herself says,
I've always said the movies can teach us about life.
That's right, and she was talking.
By the way,
about
she
Wolfman.
says that about I think the werewolf.
Yeah.
Coming to kill them.
Yeah. She also, okay, this is another weird thing. She pulls out of her bag a big gigantic like amulet of garlic, and she's like, go hang this on the door. And everybody who handles the big chain of garlic in this movie handles it with such disdain that I don't understand, because garlic is delicious. Why
garlic is so good. Garlic like makes any meal.
Like maybe the Sophie, the little kid who she gives it to at first, I would understand why she would might be put off from it, because it's got a very strong smell, which might be overpowering to a
like,
child.
Ew, yucky garlic.
Later on, when the mom is like handling the garlic, she's like, ew, garlic. Come on, you cook with garlic. Everybody.
Maybe they're all like 1/15th vampire.
Maybe, who's to say? Either way,
they just all have kind of like it's not enough to hurt them, but they all have like a natural kind of like repulsion to it.
I wonder if there's like a Halloweentown version of fucking like, what's that one fucking Ancestry, where it's like,
I'm like the website.
Look at that, I'm 1/5 the mummy.
Oh, my great grandmother was a vampire.
Oh, I should go visit her next week. Anyway.
Hey, Disney, if you're looking for a Halloweentown reboot 2025.
If you're looking for new DCOM writers, I can't think of anybody who would be better. I can think of people who would be better than your previous staff, because we come up with better ideas than they did.
I literally cannot think of anyone on this godforsaken planet that would be more qualified to write a Disney Channel movie than us.
You should give us full, no oversight, just let us do whatever we want, and don't check in with us until the day it's released.
Yeah, the two people who made an entire podcast about how we literally cannot stop watching Disney Channel movies and then talking about God and Satan.
Oh. More to come on this episode of Mount Molehill.
That's right.
So after they do the initial Grandma's here so excited to put on the costumes, they go into the kitchen to have dinner of chicken, which they don't eat very much of because there's a shit ton of leftovers. And I guess when we pull back into it, they're just kind of all giggling as the little girl does like a ghost noise because she has a ghost costume.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks. And it took me out of the fucking movie because nobody would be praising her for those horrible noises.
Well, they don't, because then the grandma is
That's
immediately like, watch how it's done. It's more like moaning.
And then she doesn't even moan. She like shivers. It's not even.
I know. Yeah, she's like pouting and crying.
Yeah. There's a lot of. Here's the.
Took me out of the movie. Honestly,
there's a lot of ghost stereotypes in this movie, actually, which will.
Oh yeah, they like joke about that later.
Yeah. She says specifically ghosts are typically very depressed creatures. Okay. Says you.
Like, lady,
maybe you just keep interacting with ghosts and they get sad for some reason when you interact with them.
No, I'd be fucking depressed too if every time like somebody like talked about me, they were like, look at this fucking sad, depressing creature. Like at least more than they already do, but
So these fucking jerks, the Cromwells, they're all sitting around and making fun of ghosts, which are, by the way, those people are dead. Have some fucking respect.
Right. We at Mount Molehill do not condone the scene in Halloweentown where the Cromwells sit around the table and make fun of ghosts. We actually love all ghosts and respect ghosts.
The Warner Brothers warning. It's like some scenes in this movie have not aged well, and we do not respect.
But like to remove them would be to pretend they never have.
Yeah,
or something like.
We got to put that at the beginning of Halloweentown.
Can we please?
Fuck. What happens after the horrible ghost? I think they just like go to bed, right? They just.
Yeah. Well, so they start talking more around the table, and the mom is kind of like throwing shade at the grandma.
She's kind of like shoving grandma off, like, yeah, hey, it's time for you to fucking go. And she's like, oh, can't Gam Gam read us one bedtime story? Come on.
Yeah. She's like, one bedtime. The two girls are like, can we please have a bedtime story before bed? And then mom is like, okay, one bedtime story. And so they all leave, and the grandma's like, yeah, we need to talk about grown-up stuff anyway. So all the kids go. There's some really weird ADR on the line where the mom tells them to get ready for bed. I noted that.
I didn't even notice that. I'll have to go back and watch.
It's weird. Yeah. It's weird. It's like out of sync, kind of. But
of note,
yeah,
when the kids go upstairs, and when Aggie and Gwen, the grandma and the mom, are still talking to each other, she's like, listen, you can't tell them about where you're from. Like she pulls the grandma aside, Aggie. She pulls Aggie aside, and she's like, you cannot tell. You can read them one story, and I am begging you to promise me you will not tell them about where you're from. And she says it.
Yeah, she says don't tell them about home. She says don't tell them. She's like, on your honor, do not tell them about home.
Yes,
your home.
And grandma says, oh, of course, dear. I would never.
Of course.
And then
of course I won't tell them about
home.
Guess
what she does.
The literal next scene, motherfucker. She's telling them about Halloweentown.
And she doesn't even try. It's not even they push her into talking about it. She's like, let me tell you about a place called Halloweentown.
Literally, her first idea for a story.
Let me tell you about this magical place. It's called Halloweentown.
Yeah, well, early on, this establishes, the filmmakers have established to us that the grandma has no honor. So this is important.
She fucking sucks.
Yeah, so
this grandma, I'm so glad we're on the same page about this.
I hate her.
So I will say on my second watch, I came to a point where I was a little bit more sympathetic.
Okay.
Because yes, thinking about this from a different angle that I'm initially thinking about it, and that my entire theory is built around, it would, she cares a lot about their culture, which I can empathize with.
Sure.
And also, they say a couple times she only gets to see the children once per year on Halloween, right? And so it's like this big moment. There's a lot of like emphasis on her visits, and so like she talks about how she misses them a lot. And
it's so
I get that, but also at the same time, we don't see enough of their relationship beforehand to know whether or not she like kind of behaved before that point.
Here's the thing. I fully believe that all of the shit that she was doing, this is my read on it, and this is based on, terse family relationships I've witnessed in the past.
Yeah.
I fully believe she was using the kids as like a fucking bargaining chip to get under the mom's skin.
No, me too. I think ultimately my take, and we'll get into this. My take is that the grandma is just completely out of line here. She's so
awful, so
manipulative, and just awful
in a way that's like really realistic to how grandmas kind of are.
I know,
and how they insist upon like being like, no, this is dear, the traditions. It's been in our family. I guess it will end with the grandma shit. The guilty Grammy shit.
Anyway, we could talk more about that.
Oh later. Yeah, there's plenty to talk. There's plenty. Hey, and there's plenty to talk about in the movie where she does awful, crazy things. So basically, she goes up and she's like, "Let me tell you about this fucking crazy place called Halloweentown." Whoa! And
and at first, she like kind of, is framing it as if she's like making it up like off the top of her head, right? Which like in and of itself, it's still so fucking annoying that she did that literally right after promising her daughter that she wouldn't do that.
Blatantly disrespectful.
But then what happens is that the kids kind of press her for details, right? And Sophie gets really interested in these details, and Sophie is very like, wow, I love this place. Like, I'd love to live there. And then, Dylan, being the little Poindexter he is like, let's make sure that Sophie knows that this place is fiction. And the grandma, with absolutely no real pressure whatsoever, leaps into, well, actually, I didn't make it up. I read about it in a book.
And then she
so
produces
maybe it
a
is
book.
real. Like, she produces a book from her bone bag. And
From
like,
her haunted
it's
bone bag.
insane how every choice she makes is like actively undermining her daughter.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Intentionally. Like it's like she
That
she
remains a
plays it
consistent
off like it's
theme
like
throughout the movie too.
their cute little slip-ups and accidents.
Mhm.
It is fully intentional the way she is like completely going against her daughter here, and it's so frustrating to me.
It's entirely, you can read it as a child, you can read it as, no, this is just the cool grandma letting the kids do whatever they want. As an adult, it is impossible to read this in any other way than this horrible, negligent grandmother is unwilling to listen to what her daughter says about her own children because she believes she knows better.
I know. She sees them once a year. I'm fucking crazy about it. I do not like this grandma.
No, but I love how it's portrayed. I love it.
But I love it too because it's so juicy. Anyway.
So there's a lot of talk about like Halloweentown, and there's like specific pictures, and at the very end of the book, there's literally a picture of just Marnie. It is just Marnie up on a broom, and she's like,
Okay.
"Wow, this broom
Okay.
looks a lot like this witch looks a lot like you. Wow."
But is it though? Because I have written down in my notes. That could be literally anyone in the drawing. You are not the only white girl with bangs in the universe. I think it is so funny that they see a picture of a white girl with bangs on the broom, and Marnie's like, "That's me."
But that's
and
like
then the grandma looks at her like, "I guess it is you."
that is like the Tumblr effect of like a skinny white man with short brown hair and glasses. That's Griffin McElroy, you know. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
I think it's. Here's the thing: is I like the read that it literally is just supposed to be an illustration of her that the grandma specifically planted within it to like manipulate her to be like, oh wow.
I know, yeah. No, I mean that's like totally true, right? But I just think it's so funny, like on a meta level.
Yeah,
like,
that is true.
Girl, that is a white girl with bangs.
Yeah, you
like
you cannot
have
just
no
say that.
way.
Yeah.
There's like a million different people who look like that.
So mom comes up and she's like, "Oh, time for bed." She doesn't catch the Halloweentown book, I don't think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the grandma like hides it at the very last second, right before she's about to, I think, tell Marnie, "Well, if you want to be a real witch," because she's like totally about to fucking reveal the whole thing to her.
No, yeah, she says something like, I didn't write this down, but she says something like, because Marnie is starting to kind of like maybe think like, oh, I could, like she says like, I could never be a witch, could I? And then fucking the grandma is like literally about to let slip. She's like, "Oh, you're a Cromwell, and the Cromwells for generations have been the most powerful."
Okay, grandma, time to go. Yeah, and
yeah, when she says "whoa," the mother is like, "Hey, like let's go."
So grandma is shuffled out of the house, and they have a very tearful goodbye, grandma. See you. I'll see you whenever we see you again. Oh man, real sad. Mom and grandma go downstairs, and they
putting away leftovers.
And grandma does something horrifying.
I'm so fucking mad about it. Well, okay, I'm mad about how this scene ends in particular, but we have some stuff to work up to there.
So mom is very angrily, Gwen is very angrily putting away chicken in Tupperware.
Sorry.
Yeah, what's up?
I don't mean to keep interrupting you. I'll let you take the lead on this next bit. I do want to say this scene was the scene where I locked the fuck in on my theory and my overall like take on this movie. Am I alone in that? Did you like?
I think that this is definitely where the themes were beginning to cement into place for me, 100%. Because
yeah, well, this is where I like felt the vibe and latched onto it. Which is like, yeah.
I think that because every scene so far had involved the children in some way. And so seeing two adults talk to each other in this, universe that is written for children, it does feel not unlike an actual an uncomfortable adult conversation.
It is so uncanny. It is so fucking uncanny.
There are deliveries that Grandma Aggie gives that are legitimately like that make me uncomfortable because it sounds like an authority figure like scolding me for something that I legitimately think I didn't do wrong. The horrifying thing she does, and I will say, she is very, very scornful towards mortals. This is the scene where we learned that she like hates the human world.
Yeah.
She really, really doesn't like them. She says, "Bury your head in your precious mortal world." She says with fucking disgust in her voice.
Bury your head. Oh my god.
As the mom is like, "I don't want my kids to be part of your world, Grandma. You are not normal." Because she says that being normal is vastly overrated. About the, because the Cromwell.
And the mom is like, "I like being normal."
Yeah.
Like she's very like, and God, oh, the things I could say.
And then to demonstrate, because she's sort of like, she's like fucking with Tupperware because she can't find the right lid, which like, we've all been there, am I right? And and Aggie is like, oh, fucking around with your stupid fucking plastic, which is a verbatim what she says.
And, like actually insane.
And then
that they dropped that.
And she says,
F-bombs in the DCOM.
you know chicken always stores better on the bone. And then she turns the dead inert matter in the bowl of fried chicken into a living creature. She turns it
and
to a chicken.
Her delivery, I noted this because it's one of the best deliveries in the movie. She's like, you know,
leftover chicken keeps better when it's back on the bone.
Oh, she like does
it's
like so dramatic. She has this.
She snaps her fingers. Her line deliveries, we haven't
very
said it out right, but her
sing-songy.
line deliveries, yeah, she's like really playing up like the witch angle, and I love that. She sucks, but she's really funny to listen to.
Oh, the actress is great. Yeah, there are a couple line reads in this movie that are really questionable, but I love it. They're all from the grandma. And so I do think it's important to note here that imagine for a moment, try to comprehend what existence must be like for that chicken. Because, man.
Elaborate.
I remember the first time I realized I was going to die was when I watched an episode of a Doctor Who spinoff called Torchlight or something. And in the very first episode, there's a guy who they have to bring back to life to find out like why he got murdered or whatever. And they do it with like sci-fi technology, and they bring him back to life, and they're like, "What? You got to tell us what did the guy look like?" And he said, "Oh my God, I was dead. Oh my God, there's nothing." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "There's nothing. Oh my God, there's nothing." And then he dies again. And
oh my God. Oh.
And so since 13 years old, when I saw that, I've always been scared of death. And so thinking about that time when that guy was brought back to life after having died for a brief moment in time, I was reminded of this chicken. Or rather, when I saw this chicken, I was reminded of that incident because on a philosophical level,
there's nothing. There's nothing.
Oh my God! It's an inky black abyss of which I will never drown to the bottom. I think it's philosophically terrible that she just plays with life like that. I think that's awful.
Yeah.
I think that the grandma does some horribly negligent and ethically questionable things on a very blatant level. And this is maybe perhaps one of the more subtle ones because it can definitely just be read as a joke. And it's a fine joke. But not to me. It's scary to me.
Not to me. This shit matters, man. Fiction affects reality. You can't be bringing chickens back to life like that all willy-nilly.
You can't be fucking bringing chickens back to life. It's not how things work. Anyway.
You can't be putting them back on the bone.
On the bone.
On the bone.
So, in this scene, after this horrifying chicken debacle, it's revealed that things in where Grandma's from, Halloweentown, are not so good. She's talking about how her neighbors seem to be going crazy. They begin acting hateful, is what she specifically says. They seem to be going insane, and then, well, no, actually, sorry, no, I wrote down here, Grandma seems insane.
Yeah, a little bit of conflation there. Sorry, let's get our notes in order.
Yeah, and so she's real concerned. She's like, I'm fucking scared because all these people are going missing, and you know.
Yeah, she says neighbors suddenly. I just found my notes on it. Neighbors suddenly becoming mean and hateful, and then disappearing altogether.
Yes, so
is what she says.
So she's like, you have to come back. We got to cast a spell because when families cast spells together, they're more powerful. But Mom's like, no, lol, I don't want to do that. And Grandma says, okay, fine, dickhead. And then she leaves, and she leaves.
And can I say the final thing she does pisses me the fuck off so badly. And this was the moment where like even on my second watch, like all like benefit of the doubt towards this grandma left my mind. She is actively trying to like sabotage her daughter at every step. What she does is she takes the leftover chicken that's already in the fridge and turns all of them into real life chickens
and leaves
while they are in the fridge, and then leaves
immediately.
She does not help at all.
She said
she leaves.
She says, enjoy your leftovers. Then she goes a little like with a little arm motion, and then immediately you don't see it, but inside the fridge you just hear like 3 different chickens start like killing each other.
Like she's kind of a she's kind of a bitch.
She's
like, can I say that?
Like
she's actually,
here's the
she's
thing.
a little.
She's a very.
I really don't say that lightly.
Bitch. She's a very realistic grandma bitch. And I. Oh man. Speaking as someone whose grandma died recently, it's not even because they're evil. It's just because they don't get it. They were from a very different time, and they're so late in their life, and it's like
They're from like Wisconsin or
they're
something.
from
Like,
Wisconsin,
they
which
don't
is basically
understand.
medieval Britain, dude. Like,
Right.
there's no way she could have. I mean, like, it's no excuse, but like, I can't bring myself to hate her. I can only bring myself to not want to be around her. You know,
Yeah.
But-
So she leaves,
she fucking gets the fuck out of there, and
and
for the best.
mom is left with this chicken mess.
Mhm, with these chickens, which will most certainly like. They will have killed each other by the time she gets into that fridge. Like that she's gonna
Yeah,
open the
like,
refrigerator
she
door.
might as well just leave it for someone
There's gonna be
like a professional to handle at that point.
there's gonna be 2 dead chickens and 1 dying chicken when she opens the door. So like she might as well take a breather, you know, after this tense interaction with her mom.
Yeah.
And we cut back upstairs, and during this whole time,
Oh,
by the way,
it was super important.
Marty
yeah.
was listening. By the way,
Marty's been there the whole time
Yeah.
listening to the conversation. So at this point, she has now discovered, because both her grandma and her mom talked about it,
Mhm.
that she is a witch.
Mhm.
They are witches. And
she goes upstairs.
there's something happening in Halloweentown that grandma needs help with.
Yes, and so she goes upstairs and she starts telling fucking Dylan, like it's real and they're witches and Grandma does magic and Halloweentown's in danger. We gotta go save them. What do you think? And Dylan says, it seems like what did he say? It seems like insanity runs in the family. It's hereditary. I guess
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I was like, it seems like
Insanity is hereditary. I just hope boys are immune.
fucking love Dylan. Always
He's
fucking
so
knock it out of
great.
the park with the
Oh,
one-liners.
Dylan is the fucking goat.
He's the greatest. And so Marnie's basically like, okay, look, dude, you don't have to believe me. I'm going. They look outside. They see Grandma walking across the street with her bag, her bone bag, following behind her. She's not pulling it. And he's like, oh, maybe it's one of the radio-controlled ones. And at that point, Marnie's like, all right, Dick, if you want to follow me, you can. If not, whatever. And she goes. Dylan follows. And Sophie is presumably asleep. And they sneak out as Mom's sort of sitting on the... No, she's cleaning up the kitchen and like, you know, wiping down the tables and shit. And she's...
This is where she's making fun of the TV
Yeah.
for calling things like magic.
I love it. It's so cute. It's such a nice little moment where she's just like, you know, this mom by herself, you know, after Halloween night is over, her kids went to
She's
bed.
like coping.
Yeah, she's
Like,
literally
it's
coping
really-
after a tense conversation with her mom. She's just watching TV. She like pushes shit into a box. TV's like,
Literally, it's so weird because I feel like
remove stains like magic. No, it doesn't.
I feel like the presentation of this movie is trying to humanize Gwen more than the script is. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. I feel like Gwen is the most down-to-earth character, and I think that sort of gives credence to the fact that the grandma is very unwell.
Yeah.
I think
So-
that Gwen being so grounded greatly helps my perception of the movie, and I mean,
Yeah, same.
selfishly, it also helps with my theory a lot. But you know, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever.
What do you mean? The theory comes from evidence, not the other way around.
Facts.
Adjust my collar.
Lol. Anyway, they follow her. They get on the bus to Halloween.
They get on the bus.
Yeah, there's nothing really crazy going on. They just get on the bus. They sneak in through the back, and they're riding this crazy magic bus. It's through like how would you describe it? Like a flashing, smoky hell, like
It's
galaxy.
like a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Like a thunderstorm portal. It seems.
It's like
uh,
imagine what space looked like before all the gas in space started aggregating into gigantic solid forms. It looked like
Imagine what space looked like before they invented cameras. and
Imagine-
you got yourself an idea.
that. Exactly. See, now we're fucking renting videos from the same damn Blockbuster Weekly. But I digress. That was an Auntie Donna line. Check out Auntie Donna on YouTube. Anyway, so they're sitting in the back of this bus and they're listening to this fucking like Frankenstein be like, oh, I walked up to this kid and he was like, oh, Dad, he was wearing a mask, a rubber mask. God, they just don't do it like they used to. It's not like it was in the old days.
Yeah, they have no respect.
They got no respect. And so we're on a very traditionalist bus. The kids are listening in and they're, you know, the monsters are talking about like monster shit. Like, oh, I'm a mummy and my shit got unwrapped or whatever. You know, that kind of thing.
There are like 2 other witches who you cannot like hear or understand what they're saying. The subtitles don't help whatsoever. But I was kind of vibing with them. I kind of want like a spin-off about those 2 witches in the other seat. You know what I mean?
There were a lot of like just like ladies who were just like background ladies. Like another lady that I want to hang out with is just the vampire who was at the dentist in one scene.
Yeah. Oh my God, me too.
She seems so cool, and I liked her.
Is this going to hurt, Doctor?
we have to keep going. I'm sorry, we have to
We
keep
have to
going.
go. We have to keep going. We're not even halfway through this movie.
So yeah, they fly through clouds in space, flashing clouds in space, and they eventually get to Halloweentown. The first thing that we see is the city hall of Halloweentown with a big fucking pumpkin in the middle of the city hall plaza. And people are walking around, and it looks like ghosts and ghouls. I mean, when I say ghosts and ghouls, it doesn't really look like ghosts and ghouls. It looks like people dressed up like a '50s milkman, and then there's like a Frankenstein, and then there's like a pirate.
By the way,
Uh-huh.
I want to express at this point in the movie, I was so scared because, like, here's the thing. Yeah, they're older. They're a little bit more aware about what's going on, but they like don't know at this point that Sophie has cookie magic. Like she and they just like left her behind. She could be fucking integral to this operation, and for all they know, she's just in bed.
And,
which
and
is
they could have
insane
never
to me.
known never known because fucking mom has been keeping this information. So I mean, thank God Sophie did follow behind them on the bus. We learned this very.
It is revealed that
She was pretending to be asleep when they snuck out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, had she not, then that cookie magic could have been. I mean, I think it would have been integral to their success, and had she just not come, then they would not have been able to utilize that cookie magic to its fullest.
right.
But thank God she did come along. Grandma, by the way, Aggie she meets up with one of her friends whose name escapes me at the moment. But
I think Harriet.
yes, you're exactly right. And I've been talking for a little bit. So tell me about the little interaction she has with Harriet.
Well, Harriet, I think they're walking along. Grandma gets off the bus. She's like, "Oh, Harriet, how's it going?" And Harriet's like, "Oh, I was just dropping off some pumpkins at the headless shelter."
Lol,
or
hee hee.
like there are these little like pumpkin treats.
Muffins.
Muffins, that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's like, I'm dropping off some muffins at the headless shelter.
Of note,
they need all this.
One of the only characters so far to have any sort of accent. This is a British accent. She's, it didn't even occur to me. They couldn't eat them. Don't have any eggs,
Actually, the Frankenstein does have a British accent.
Oh, he
as well.
does. I totally missed that.
Yeah, he's like a posh Frankenstein. It's weird. Anyway,
Posh
so the
Frankenstein.
joke is like, that
It
didn't.
occurred to me they couldn't eat them. No heads.
It's great. Anyway, Grandma
And
fucks
then,
off.
and then Aggie. I love how Aggie like doesn't respond to that. Like that's like an actually offensive thing that Harriet just said. Like in universe, she just said something really like ableist.
Yeah.
And Agatha is just like, okay.
I mean, honestly, I could just see that Agatha like just isn't a good friend, and she just didn't respond.
She's just not a good.
Yeah, because like I'm gonna be honest with her track record so far, I don't think morals are necessarily her fucking strong suit.
That's right. Yeah.
So she sneaks off, and then the kids are left alone in the plaza, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta go find Grandma," because I mean, she gets off the bus first, and then they have to go find her. But they don't even know where to start. But then this man comes to them, and he's like, The man comes to them, and he says, "Oh, there's new faces in Halloweentown. I should know you." And they're like, "Oh, well, who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the mayor."
I'm the mayor.
This is the
and
mayor.
that means I'm in trouble because the mayor is supposed to know everyone.
Yes, that's exactly right. And then he pulls a lollipop out of Sophie's ear and calls her Soapy, which is a fun little joke that he's a fun guy until he's not anymore. This guy
He keeps doing spoilers.
I'm sorry.
He keeps doing that throughout the movie. Yeah,
I don't want to
Scout, come
spoil
on.
anything about Calabar.
It's-
The
they
ma-
don't know that Calabar, the star of Halloween and Halloween 2, Calabar's Revenge, could potentially do something worth needing revenge for by the end of this movie.
I wouldn't count on it. He seems very nice to Soapy.
Soapy.
And then he fucking claps his little mayoral hands, and he's like, "Let me get you a taxi to get you to your grandma's house," because he says, "Oh, I know where your grandma lives. Damn near should. She's been living in the same place for 200 years."
By the way,
mhm.
he's barely in the movie.
Mhm.
He is my second favorite character.
He is delightful.
Calabar is like so relentlessly charming.
Yes.
He's like up there with like Willy Wonka in terms of like the charm.
Yeah,
he has a similar vibe going on, of course, but like
he's so good at it.
he's really charming. Like I kind of just like every time there's a scene where there's not even like music playing, they're just talking to each other. I like want it to go on forever.
Yeah, he is the actor plays that the actor what plays Calabar. He is a very charismatic guy, and he plays up the sort of like ringleader circus guy.
Yeah,
act really well.
Yeah.
And incorporates it well into his mayoral duties.
He just has like a nice face. He has a nice voice.
He's very
like, he
nice. He's
talks
very cute.
pleasantly.
He's a handsome man. He seems very nice. I would love to raise his kids. Anyway,
Yes.
he calls over a little taxi. A bone man comes in the taxi, which is, I believe, their scientific name. And he's like, I'll give you a ride. It's on the skull or whatever,
Taxi got a bone, man.
Oh my god, that is a reference I was not expecting.
Sorry.
Corey got a bone hand. That's a Corey in the House reference for anybody who didn't catch that.
All right.
And by the way, I just want to I want to note the skeleton is really good. Like the skeleton
He's
is
great.
It's such
He's fantastic.
Not only the character, but also the prop that represents the skeleton.
Yes.
Oh.
It like deforms in a way that like actually looks kind of real.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like a practical effect or if the CGI was just like minimal enough that it could look that good.
Now, chat members, fuck, I gotta stop saying that. Now, listeners,
you can say it if you want. It's our fucking show.
I guess it doesn't really matter. They don't care. And even if they did,
What are they gonna do? Stop listening?
So imagine, chat. It's like a soft bone skeleton. That was like the bit where it's like the podcast was over.
Yeah, no,
it's
I
like a foam body skeleton that is like cartoon, right? And when he's talking, his mouth, the lower jaw like flaps up and down. But then also his like skeleton eyebrows like can contract and
He has like I think his cheekbones too.
Does it? I honestly,
I'm pretty sure it's like his cheekbones.
It's very lifelike. There's a lot of life
Yeah.
in being puppeteered into this skeleton animatronic, and so they pop in, and this is, I think, that they let it slip that they were Cromwells to Calabar, and Calabar sort of establishes that the Cromwells are sort of a big deal in Halloweentown in some capacity. And so they take a ride up to the grandma's house, which she lives up like on a hill or whatever. And they get out and they're like, thanks, we don't have any money. Do you need anything? It's like, oh,
Catch me in the next life.
he laughs really loud at that.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, bye, kids. And he like just starts backing out. He doesn't keep driving. They're locked outside Grandma's house. They go up. They try to push it. It's locked. At this point, Marnie, who knows that she's a witch, is trying to unlock latently her abilities. So she starts saying like abracadabra, open sesame. Then she thinks about it for a second. And she goes like, horrible gate keeping us out. Let us in through your mouth. And, she tries casting a spell that way. And Dylan's like, were you just trying to rhyme? That didn't even rhyme. Out and mouth
Dylan
don't
says,
rhyme.
First of all, Dylan, it's called a slant rhyme. Look it up. It's like not.
Yeah, and you're the smart one?
Oh,
okay.
Oh, by the way,
Mhm.
important thing we accidentally skipped over.
Oh, what?
On the way here, they introduce us to Luke, the local punk.
Is it important?
Who-
Because is Luke important?
No, but can we pretend for like a second so I can finish my thing?
Sorry, go ahead.
They introduce us to Luke. Actually, I'm kind of split on whether or not Luke is important symbolism to my overall point. I do kind of think Luke is somewhat important to the imagery of this movie.
I think he's definitely important, but like
Luke-
plot-wise, he is
Plot wise,
he is a
he's
tool.
nothing.
He is effectively
He's
a
chopped
wedge.
liver.
Yeah, he's a wedge,
Yeah.
which the plot revolves around. Yeah.
So Luke, the local punk, is introduced as someone who he's described as someone who is like kind of a little dick because he thinks he's a big shot because he got a nose job from a shadow creature.
Which who of us hasn't like had a friend like that who got a nose job
I
from
know.
a shadow creature and then started acting like hot shit?
Yeah.
But that is
Classic middle school experience.
that is what is established about Luke, is that he's shitty and that he got a nose job, and none of his history, none of what he's done. It's none of like his personality. He's just like,
Okay, but also it's good to talk about him now because there's a really funny line about him later from another guy.
What's important to know now, dear viewer, is that Luke is brought up, and he's just they just say, "Look out for Luke. He's the bad kid," and then they keep driving.
Anyway,
Yeah.
slant rhymes.
Luke does, by the way, look directly in their eyes as they're driving past in the taxi. So
Yeah.
he knows.
And as a result, looks directly at you, the viewer.
He remembers that he's in a movie, and then he sees the camera in the car and makes sure to get his direct eye contact in. They're at the gate, and
Remember me.
Marnie can't do
So
it.
Dylan calls Marnie a fucking fraud.
Yeah, he says, "You're a fucking fraud, Marnie. I hate you." And then they start getting in a fist fight, and then Sophie, while they're sort of distracted doing their older sibling business. She's like, I opened it, or we just sort of see the gate opening off screen.
Yeah, the gate just opens.
Yeah,
And they're like, Sophie, how'd you do that? And she's like, oh, I just pushed it. And then they walk in, and she says, I also wished that the lock would turn into a frog.
And then we see a frog on the ground.
Slow pan down to the ground, which reveals a frog hanging out.
Okay.
This is where, by the way, I wrote down Sophie is goated.
Sophie goated, for real. Here's the thing, and maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I feel like there were several times in this movie where it was implied that Sophie is incredibly powerful, but that's not like an actual plot point. Like, there's no...
But it's very important.
It's very important, and it's very prominently shown in the movie. This is something they establish very clearly through several different shots, but it's never used. It's not the Chekhov's gun. They just say that they just establish that she's super powerful, you know?
Yeah, she's like super powerful. Ultimately, the plot does not support that with any sort of like merit or like reason for things being that way. But it's I assure you, my dear Scout, there is a reason. It is so fucking crucial to the underlying point of this movie.
It like exists as like a thing in mine as something that verifies my own theory, but it's not like necessarily load bearing. But it is supported multiple times. Like we didn't even note this one, but while Marty was trying to convince Dylan that witches were real before they went to sneak off to Halloweentown, she said, "Why do you think stuff starts falling off the shelves whenever Sophie has a tantrum?" Which is like Sophie's doing Carrie shit now. That's
well, I mean, okay, well let's think about it. Like, it's not actually implied. I think the important thing to remember is that it's not actually implied that Sophie is uniquely powerful. Mm-hmm. I think it's implied that all witches at that age are that powerful and their powers are that raw. But then as they get older, they need to start training that power. And if they don't train that power, it gets weaker until they hit 13. And then they lose it forever if they don't start training.
Is that the full implication of like how the powers work? Okay.
I'm pretty sure across a few different scenes you can put that together pretty specifically.
I had a slightly different theory, but we'll get into that when we get into that.
No, I mean like it's that I'm saying that's what the movie's doing. That's what's true in the canon of the movie.
But who gives a fuck about them?
There's more to it. There's more to it than that, I assure you.
So they go into Grandma's big house, very, very big house up on a hill, and they sneak in, and like there's not really much sneaking around. They just sort of see Grandma playing with her fun prop microwave that has the settings toil, bubble, and trouble.
It says like double. Yeah, it says bubble, toil, and trouble on it, which is great.
And she's like got like an instant box of like witch's brew, and she pours it in. And she pours it in like a cauldron the size of a soup bowl, and she puts it in the microwave, and she presses the bubble, toil, trouble, and then she and then the kids come in, and Grandma's like, "Oh hey, what's up, guys?" And like she doesn't even she's not like, "What are you doing here?" She's just like, "Oh hey, hi kids."
Like, "Hey, good to see you.
Welcome." And like she does, like, for a second, she's like, "Oh, yeah, well, it's good to see you. I guess I better send you home." And the kids are like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, I guess I won't."
Yeah. At the smallest amount of resistance, she's like, "Well, I guess my hands are tied."
Which is like, such an adult thing to do with kids who, like, when an adult wants to do something and there are children nearby, if the adult can convince the children of it, then the adult can convince the other adults of it, because they can use the kids as a bargaining chip. That's and the grandma loves doing whatever she wants.
That's her favorite thing to do.
Oh, it's her favorite thing to just take what she likes to take. Anyway,
but isn't that her whole philosophy?
Anyway.
Like, not to get ahead of ourselves, her whole philosophy about magic is. Should we say it now?
We'll say it. She reveals it at a later scene. But for now, she reveals to us, time works differently in Halloweentown because they need to fix something before midnight on Halloween.
Because they so the bus to and from Halloweentown only operates on Halloween in the real world. Mm-hmm. So they say, okay, well, we need to be here to figure out this problem that's happening in Halloweentown, but midnight, which is when the bus stops running and they can't get back to Earth, stops at 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or midnight in the real world is when the bus stops, is what I mean to say.
But
time,
so according to Grandma, in Halloweentown,
Yeah.
time works differently. She said, "Oh, 2
it
hours
works differently,
can be 2 days or 2 weeks if we're on vacation." Which
I don't fucking know what that means.
I think the implication is that we can't talk about it yet. We can talk about it later.
Okay. All right, yeah, we'll get into it.
So-
just let it be known that line is fucking weird.
So Grandma lays the skinny on the kids, like, we got to stop the dark and malevolent forces, and here's what we're gonna do. And she pulls the brew out of the microwave, out of her witch's microwave, and Marnie's like, "Oh, it's so cool. Are you gonna cast a magic spell and summon the forces of darkness?" And she's like, "No."
And Sophie says,
Are you cooking chowder, Grandma? I love chowder.
Sophie's great. Everybody,
she's fantastic.
can we get a round of applause for Sophie? Everybody. All right, that's enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's if you could. Grandma fetches something off the shelf, and she pulls it out of a little box, and it's like a weird wand. It's like a fucked up wand with like a big orb on the end of it, right? Sort of like being held in like a claw. And Marnie's like, "Are we gonna?"
It looks like a little mage staff with like a crystal ball at the top.
Yeah, a bit. It's sort of got the form of like a lollipop, like a Tootsie Roll, sort of like a big ball on a stick.
But the stem is like thicker.
And it's ornate. And she brings it over to the witch's brew, and Marnie's like, "Are you gonna summon the forces of darkness to seal the evil?" And she's like, "No, I'm gonna fill this up and see if it lights up."
Which is really, really good.
Which is great. I did like that. And so she does. She first of all, she doesn't actually pour any liquid. She pours like smoke into it. Probably just
she's pouring dry ice vapor into this. This thing. I think is specifically what it is.
And she fucking screws it on, and then she puts it upright, and then she recites a. Now, Penny, did you look up what she recited?
No, I've watched the movie enough to sort of remember the general sound of it.
Mhm.
It's like ikima, kafir. So there's a you know.
But the thing is, you didn't look it up, though. Is what you're
I didn't
saying.
look it up. No.
Oh, that's funny. Oh,
okay.
Oh man.
Oh no, I feel like I really should have.
I'm so excited to tell you what that is, but
yeah.
But the point is, for now, it fails. The little incantation she does, it fails. She said she picked it up in the 6th century from Merlin, a little guy known Merlin who was in King Arthur's court. If you remember that, it's very strongly implied. A, she's been around since the 6th century.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my god, you're hopeless. Anyway, yeah. So she's like, I picked this up in the 6th century from a wizard named Merlin, which isn't the first time this sort of connection to King Arthur's court has been made. It's been like several times that sort of connection.
They bring it up a few times.
And it fails. The thing, she puts like sprinkles of glitter on it, and the thing doesn't light up. And she's like, "Oh, drat!" It's a really cute little grandma drat. And she says she shouldn't have used instant because if you recall,
yeah, that's what I get for going with instant.
Because at the beginning of the scene, she fucking, like I said, she had that instant witch's brew that she had, and so Marnie's like, "Well, I can help you cook." And Grandma goes over the stuff that she needs, which is like the sweat of a ghost and the tooth of a vampire, or no, the spit of a vampire and the fur of a werewolf, and they know they need to do that, but they don't. First, they just go have fun at Halloweentown.
Yeah, they like, so she's like, "This is all stuff we can get around town, but we just like can't let people know that's what we're doing."
Mm-hmm.
And then it's actually pretty easy to not let people know that's what they're doing because that is not what they do. Immediately, that is sure as hell not at all what they do.
Their cover is so deep that they straight up aren't even doing what they're supposed to be.
They're not doing the thing they're secretly supposed to be doing, yeah.
Yeah, so fucking, they just go out on the town and they start looking around and
really good line from Dylan here, by the way, because they're walking out on the town and
Dylan seems hunky-dory.
Dylan's kind of humming, and so Marnie asks him like, "Hey, why are you so happy all of a sudden?" And he says,
"I decided this really is a dream, so why worry?"
I love it, dude.
He's like fully bought into his own delusion. I fucking love it.
It's the best.
I want to get into the weeds on something here for just a moment.
Sure.
This does not have to be showing our hand in terms of like our overall like kind of angle, the back half of the episode, but it's really important, I think, to kind of like establish how fucking confusing the history of Halloweentown is. So yeah, there's some sauce here. I think what we should do is at least like describe why the scenario is confusing.
Sure.
And then we can sort of
you take the head on it.
pin our own-
I'll describe what she describes the lore to of it.
Yeah. So
Grandma Aggie.
I watched this movie, or I have a whole fucking thing written down here.
Go ahead.
This might be a somewhat like redundantly written down because I wrote this down across 2 different watches.
Okay.
I was trying so fucking hard to like put this shit together.
I'm honestly.
It's mostly questions. I need to ask these questions. So
Please go ahead.
this does not make sense to me. The history of Halloweentown is described as having started when humans and Halloween creatures lived together. Supposedly, humans feared these creatures and tried to destroy them. But if this was how things always were up to that point, why would that be the case? What would they have to fear? This is very strange to me. Furthermore, the monsters supposedly retaliated this hatred by, quote, making them miserable in return, unquote. This turned the monsters evil, though Aggie makes a point to say that by default, monsters are not in fact evil, so the monsters were driven out of their first home. Next paragraph. The Halloweentown citizens were supposedly treated as fearful and as monsters back when they and humans lived together, whatever. But when they created their own world, they, quote, were able to settle down and have children and jobs, unquote. Okay, but were they doing this to begin with on Earth? Were they always culturally parallel to humanity in this way?
And a bowling league, for the record. That was also
and a bowling league. Yeah, Star Bowling League.
That's right.
And if so, truly, what reason would the humans have to treat them as monsters? The only other explanation of this development is that Halloweentown was created, and only then, when the monsters were separate from humans, did they begin to form their own modern way of life. But if that's the case, what's with the mortals see, mortals do saying that seems to have caught on? Wouldn't the Halloweentown lifestyle be just as derivative of humanity as humanity's adoption of Halloween culture is to Halloween? The Halloweentown origin story does not make any sense whatsoever. I am almost certain that something has been revised after the fact.
That's here. Hey, oh man. Hey, Penny, one of the best things that historical revisionists, one of their most powerful tool of historical revisionism is starting the timeline exactly where you want it.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
I just have to establish this story is fucked. It does not make any sense.
Oh yeah, no, here's the thing. I think it doesn't make sense how Grandma's telling it, but
right, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so fucking they
run into Harriet.
They run into Harriet. That's right.
Who has the funniest shot in the movie?
Yeah.
Who bumps into Aggie and goes, Brah!
And then just walks away, and they just kind of like look at her as she walks away down. But broad daylight, like on the sidewalk in the middle of the street.
Like there are other people next to them as this happens.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, that's weird.
I have a point about that.
Yeah.
The tone of this movie is fucking crazy. This is not exactly where I noted this down. I noted it down a bit later, but this movie gives me a weird vibe because the structure of the story and the stakes are very like dark fantasy, but the entire Halloweentown portion of the movie takes place in broad daylight.
Oh yeah,
it's like you're it makes everything feel like casual, like suburban in a way that is like super uncanny. I feel like is the way to describe it.
I think it's similar, and this is kind of like a big pull. It's sort of similar to the horror of Midsommar to me, because Midsommar also takes place like in very bright, very verdant areas, but and like ostensibly with very kind and nice people, very normal seeming people. But the sort of horror is that you are in that setting, but despite that, things are still horrible. Despite the fact that you're in this place which seems safe and gives you the feeling of safety, it is so not safe.
Interesting. Let's move on.
So they go to a sundae shop, or a little ice cream shop, and fucking the mayor's there, and he produces. This is not really necessarily plot important or theory important, but he produces a sundae from his cloak, and for some reason, for a brief moment, it's on blue fire. This magical blue fire coming off of the sundae, which he offers to Soapy.
It's so funny that you say that, because I didn't write that down, but I remember that as being like, why the fuck is it on fire?
Yeah, and it's just like for a second, he's not even like, this is a special Hades sundae. He just produces it from his cloak, and for a second, for maybe 3 seconds while it's on screen, there is a horribly matted on digital blue flame over top of the sundae, and then it just goes out.
Yeah, Soapy's loving it though.
It's great.
She's feeling it. Yeah,
fun little magic stuff. And I think he's like prying, like, what are you guys up to? And they're like, oh, nothing, don't fucking worry about it. And he says, you Cromwells are impossible, which implies some things. At this point, I thought...
Oh,
Mhm.
well, no. So what happens is that the grandma straight up tells him what's going on.
Oh, yes.
Because they run into Harriet. And then they meet up with the mayor in the shop, and Aggie is like, "Hey, Calabar, Harriet's fucked. She's crazy.
Hey,
like,
you want to do something about this?
Yeah, and she's like, "Hey, it was just like I'm telling you. If she'll be gone by tomorrow if this continues." And Calabar is like, I gotta level with you. I wasn't taking you seriously on this at first, but you're right. There is something going on. And then, of course, he requests her. He's like, I need you to stay out of it for 2 days. He's like, give me 2 days. And that's one of my favorite lines in the movie. He's like, just 2 days. So he says it in
this
such
is
like
another
a charming way.
adult to adult interaction that feels very like adult to adult,
Yeah, he has like a little like, what do you want from me? Kind of
like,
smirk on his face.
my
Give me 2 days.
My hands are tied.
Yeah.
What do you want? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he says, "You Calibars are impossible," and then leaves. Yeah.
Which is
Or no, you Cromwells are impossible.
Yes. you Calibars are impossible.
You Calibars.
And then they fuck off from the Sunday shop, and they run into a ghoul from Fallout who loves to sell brooms.
Yeah.
I love this guy, by the way. I love.
He's
the broom salesman.
fantastic. Yeah.
I think he might be my favorite side character.
That vault dweller, she's turned into such a wiener.
Fuck! Oh my god, I totally forgot he just calls Luke a wiener.
Yeah, that's why I really wanted to establish Luke so that he could bring up the wiener line, because it's really funny.
So, okay, this is before the shithead 5000 that Petty was talking about, the broom. It is like it's not the same set design, obviously, but it is like these are high-tech brooms, and like there's like switches and knobs and dials and lights and stuff all over it, and it's like, the latest model, what unibody finish, yeah.
Agatha calls them a bit more snazzier than the one she used to have, which I noted down as grammar embarrassment.
Come on, Grandma.
Come on.
You're supposed to be powerful, Wiz. Sure.
This was written?
Yeah.
Was that an improv line? Because that ain't how you fucking say that.
I would know a thing or two about improv, and that was very unprofessional. Luke comes in, fucks in. He fucks.
So Luke fucks right on in.
Yeah. Luke fucks onto the screen, and he's like, "What's up, dorks?" I don't remember the exact nature. I think he just kind of comes up and bullies them.
He's like bullying Marnie, but also asking her on a date at the same time. He's like, "Hey, you fucking nerd, you getting your first broom? Why don't we go over to the fucking ice cream shop and kiss and like hold hands and shit? You fucking dolt dweeb.
You bitch." And he's also bullying Aggie at this point, but like it's really weird because Luke is like a 15-year-old. Or like he looks like a 15-year-old, and he and Aggie often talk as though they are equals. Which is interesting, like, because like
what does that imply about Aggie? Like straight up.
What does it imply about Aggie or Luke? Really,
yeah.
It's weird. Also, I noted down here, this is highly unimportant, but I said Luke's vest reminds me of a genie. He's got he's got a genie vest on, and that's pretty cool. Yeah,
he's got kind of a like a genie thing going on.
They also establish
they don't have genies in Halloweentown though.
No, at least not that we've seen at the very least.
Yeah.
Hey, Lucas might be a genie. We don't know.
They do have Dybbuk and Banshees though.
They got Dybbuk and Banshees.
We didn't talk about it, but that's like one of my favorite lines of the movie. She just drops that shit during bedtime story time.
Yeah. Are there Dybbuks and Banshees?
Grandma, are there Dybbuks and Banshees?
Which I would like to say, I didn't even know what a fucking Dybbuk was.
Me neither.
I had to look it up.
I had to look it up. I didn't even know how to spell it.
Yeah, no, it's.
I sure hope it's not one of those we're not supposed to say.
Yeah, fuck me. I hope.
Probably not. It's probably fine.
No, I imagine it's all right. Yeah, so Luke is like, "Oh, I'm the evil guy, and I have evil machinations, and I'm working for I got some powerful creature. I know some powerful creatures around here." He says powerful creatures, not people. Which I thought was funny. I think it's funny to say I know powerful creatures with like a really serious voice.
Yeah, they do just call the citizens creatures overall.
That is true. Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Ultimately, Marnie like has some clapback, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you just stink, ugly," and then he like falls over the brooms because he's embarrassed, and then he's like, "Oh, you'll regret this," and then he moves away. And then they go back to selling brooms, and we get to spend more time with the fun Elvis impersonating zombie guy.
Oh, that Luke dude, he's turned into such a wiener.
Fuck. It's like, I think that might be my favorite line in the entire movie, is that Luke guy is turning into such a wiener.
When you're editing this, can you like cut in that line delivery in this
Easily.
bit so people can hear it? It's so good.
I think I might just cut in like all of the best delivered lines as we're
yeah,
talking
we
about
got to
them.
start doing that. Up the production value a little.
Oh yeah, this is a new and exciting season of Mount Molehill. I hope you're all excited.
Yeah, it'll make next century's episode like so clean.
Yeah, look forward to next week's episode. Anyway, after this, they buy a broom. Marnie gets a broom from her grandma. At this point, also, it's sort of established like very firmly that the Cromwells are like their name carries a lot of weight. Like people know who the Cromwells are in Halloweentown. And then they go for a broom ride. And
this is where
yes,
the grandma Aggie establishes her philosophy for magic.
Yes, go ahead.
She says, "Magic is very simple. All you gotta do is
Want something, and then let yourself have it.
I wrote here, this seems like very bad advice to give to children."
You know what I wrote down?
What?
Self-care queen.
You know what I wrote down directly below that? Awesome green screen broom ride.
We're really fucking covering the gamut here.
It's because we were both doing the same thing where we forgot how to write down theories, and so we were just writing down everything that we saw.
This show is for everyone.
Oh yeah. You're not getting left behind here. Don't worry.
That's right.
Grandma.
I'm gonna be honest. I do kind of fucking love that as like a general, like, I don't know, just like that is magic in a way. You just gotta want something and then let yourself have it. I do like that. I think she uses that to unsavory ends, but I think as a philosophy in and of itself, that's kind of sick. I kind of love that.
No, for sure. It's a nice idea, but it could also be something like you could also describe like narcissism with that. You know, just you want something, just let yourself have it. So it's give and take, you know. And I think that perhaps for the movie it was fine, you know, because this is a kids movie, and so I don't think they're necessarily giving bad advice to kids. But in the real,
I think if it were like used in an aspirational context, it works a lot better than a like we are toying with the forces of nature and like
and also coming from her
we can do whatever
specifically.
Exactly. It's tinted negatively when it's coming from Aggie.
Aggie is not a good role model for these kids. And I think that's why like I said, I do think that it's a good like to believe in something and to want something and to let yourself have it is magic. I totally get like that's a good thing, but it is totally undercut by the person delivering it.
No, for sure. Yeah, with the way we've seen her behave up to this point. Like, okay, yeah, maybe for everyone except you, Agatha.
Anyhow, they come down and everybody's there's just like a bunch of people waiting for them to be done flying the broom. And then at this point,
including
guess who's here to fucking spoil the fun?
Guess who's here to fucking suck the fun out of everything? It's Mom.
It's fucking Mom. A couple scenes ago, it was established that she came home, or she noticed, she saw them upstairs. She was like, oh, what the F? They're not there anymore. How did she get to Halloweentown? Was that ever establised? Because like,
no.
Okay, cool.
I assume she knows some weird thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, she's from there, you know.
Maybe it was established and I just wasn't listening. But yeah, she's a witch, so it's whatever. I'll buy it.
The thing is, though, because the next scene is them going to the bus station, right? Because the mom is like, no.
With the fucking two stooges?
With the gay stooges? Yeah.
Yeah.
The mom comes up and she's like, hey, you super fucking can't be doing this. These are my kids. What the hell is wrong with you? And Grandma's like, what? Come on.
I didn't do anything wrong.
They wanted to. I'm just a little guy, you know.
Don't hurt me. It's my birthday.
It's my birthday. Halloween is my birthday. I'm just a little grandma. And Mom's like, no. And then she takes the kids away, and then it lingers on a shot of the grandma looking sad for a long time. And then they go to the bus station. One of my favorite
shots in the movie.
Yeah. I wrote down here, and this is a Homestar Runner reference to anybody who might get this. I minored in holding on wide shots for too long. Anyway. That was my strong sad impression. This is where they
I
come
love
to the
it.
bus station, and there's the two Stooges. These guys share a head, so maybe they're not a couple, but maybe they are because they talk to each other a whole lot. Like they're arguing like a two dudes in love with each other, and that's fine. Except for we're trying to get on the bus. We want to go home from Halloweentown, and they say that it's gonna take a couple hours. Sorry.
They say, "What's wrong with the caffeine? Hey, what's wrong with the caffeine?"
The entire time they are doing like a whole bit like to each other.
They are literally like mowing curly ass, like
Yeah.
like slapping each other and fucking like going, "Hey, what are you? I'm walking here."
It's great. You should watch the movie, Chet.
It's fun.
Yeah. But no, the whole thing is like, yeah, no, sorry, we can't do anything for you. And I wrote down here, this poor mother is tortured. In that,
I know.
this is the note that I wrote down.
This-
she seems so exasperated this
She
entire
literally,
time.
she's trying so fucking hard.
and so the boy Dylan, the boy says, maybe we can ask the mayor for help. He was pretty nice, or maybe it was Sophie who said that actually. But I digress.
I'll give it to Dylan.
Yeah, sure.
Dylan needs more things.
He gets it. He's a great guy. So directly under the poor mother is tortured, I wrote, I wonder who the bad guy is. Maybe we'll find out in the sequel, Calabar's Revenge, because they go to the mayor's office to meet Mayor Calabar. And it's established here, or well, first of all, that the mayor has a fun little like vampire fella that lives on his desk and is like, there's somebody here to see you, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Oh God. Oh. I really like some of the world building of this movie.
Yeah, it's just like the little pieces of set design that make such a difference. They're like so cute and nice. Anyhow, so this is the scene where it's established that the mom and Calabar used to date. They were boyfriend-girlfriend, which I think lends the previous phrase, you Cromwells are impossible, a lot of very evil tones.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. It was even scarier when I thought he was their dad, but I'm glad that that wasn't the case, but I digress.
Oh, that's interesting. I never really assumed that, but that, yeah, oh my God, I can imagine that probably was like,
because like the only time you see the dad is very briefly in like a shot where they're looking at like a picture frame of the like the five
and
of them
it's like
together.
kind of distant, a little blurry. You can't really fully see his face.
And it is kind of like I'm sort of playing into the thing we were just saying, we were talking about earlier, where it's like, girl, that could be anybody, you know. But I did see a tall white adult man with brown short hair.
No. I
just
think
assume,
it's totally fair. I think
because
it's totally
like
fair.
how many characters do they reuse? You know, they love to not have any superfluous
Not many.
characters. Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of, there's Pincushion Woman.
I love Pincushion Women.
I really love Pincushion Woman. She's like, I'm on pins and needles here.
She literally does like the King Candy. Oh, I'm on pins and needles here.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great. I did write down, the secretary is delightful.
She's really, really fun.
I also wrote down.
I don't get why is pincushions like a Halloween type thing?
I guess,
or is she just like a
it's-
random object? They were like, I don't know, he needs a secretary.
My
we fucking
thinking-
used up all the skeletons. Like,
my
what do
thinking
we
was
do?
like it's like a fairy godmother thing, maybe. I don't fucking, because like
maybe.
they do like half horror, half fantasy elements for Halloweentown, but like
yeah, that's
that-
true.
Here's the thing: is I don't even give a fuck if it's Halloween themed,
No,
because it's
yeah,
like the
I
cutest
mean,
costume in the whole fucking.
She's
flick.
great either way. I just think it's so funny.
She
That's
got-
like the least
yeah.
Halloween relevant thing of the
got
entire
these
cast of characters.
Big fucking cartoon pins coming off of her, like banging into the door as she's walking in and
Yeah.
stuff. She's great. She's nice, and she's there for one scene to hand him a note, and then she walks away, and she's never mentioned again. I noted down
Spin-off.
here, if the secretary handed him something evil to do, maybe that means she's in on it. Bureaucracy is part of the evil. Thanks, Scout. Anyway, because this is
Could be worth looking into. Hey, can someone in the audience get in on this?
this is important. Like we're toying around. Obviously, yeah, Calabar's the bad guy. We know this to be true already.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, did she read the note? Like, does she know that he has to be at his evil lair soon? And like that's why he.
Well, yeah. Oh, because the thing that's important. I guess we should. Okay. Well, the thing that's important is established in the next scene,
Yeah,
which we can get to after. So Calabar like magically procures a rose for
to flirt with Gwen. Mhm.
Yeah.
Because they hit it off. They're not like fighting. They're not like, oh, it's you.'re just like, oh my god,
Yeah, no,
Calabar,
they're,
you're the
like,
mayor.
super
Wow.
friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you didn't hear about the election? Like, oh, you used to like this stuff. Like, did you forget that part? She's like, no. It's like really cute. I really honestly,
It's delightful. Yeah.
I would fucking love to watch like a like a doomed rom-com prequel about those two.
Oh my god. Yeah, fucking coming to Disney Plus soon.
Yeah.
He does say, like, oh, you're gonna love this place. We can go to all our old haunts. I can take you
Our
on
old
the
haunts,
I
yeah.
can take you on the River Styx cruise, which is yet another troubling thought that he introduced here. But that's when the secretary comes in, hands him a little evil note, and he's like, look, I gotta go do something. This is important, all right? When I get back, I'll help you get on your little stupid bus to your little stupid world. I don't fucking care. And then he goes. And we also see out the window that Grandma is currently being lured away by Luke. This is something we see. Luke comes and he's walking to Grandma Aggie as she's sort of walking despondently away from the kids. This is another scene where, you know, right after the mom takes them and she's like all sad and stuff. And Luke's like, hey, I know what's the problem here. You want to know what's going on, and I know what's going on. And she's like, what are you talking about, Luke? And he's like, oh, the big bad wants to reveal himself to you. And so she just goes with him. At this point,
She says, he,
Who is he?
at one point, which I thought was super cool.
it's another just a wonderful good delivery from Grandma Aggie. And at this point, I did write down, what the fuck is Luke's deal? He's just around.
He's just hanging out.
And so he takes her to the movie theater, which has been sort of established a couple times, where it's like, yeah, they have this nice movie theater, but it's closed. Yeah, it's been closed for a little bit. It's because the movie theater's the evil lair currently right now.
Right.
And so Aggie joins Luke in the movie theater, and a big scary mummy man comes out, and he reveals his scary mummy man face.
Yeah, well, it's important to note, they walk into the movie theater, and the scene is fucking ghastly.
Oh yes, terrifying.
There are just literally petrified people,
Like,
all
straight up rigor mortis.
over the
Yeah.
theater. Yeah, like just sitting in the seats, completely frozen, and there's like an evil fucking portal where the screen should be.
Some of them are like rotting. Also, is
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Like, they're like
There's
drying
like cobwebs
out.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like really,
and yeah,
it's nasty shit.
Like she said on the screen, or where the screen is supposed to be, there's just a big swirling cloudy vortex portal type going on. And as Aggie and Luke sort of shuffle on in, and Aggie goes up near the front, Luke sort of just sits down, puts his feet up. And the mummy man comes out and he's like, I'm the fucking evil guy. And
But then I stopped thinking about that kind of stuff, because then immediately Luke starts chiming in like a goddamn like little henchman,
Like,
saying
straight up,
the
like-
funniest things in the world. Because the guy in the window in the evil portal is like, I'm going to keep doing this to citizens one by one, and then Luke says 2 by 2 and 3 by 3. Like he just starts naming off like wooden plank sizes.
fucking he fucking is like, oh, you've never seen a wizard as powerful as me. And he's like, yeah, he's the most powerful there is. He's
like, and then it gets to the point where he does that so much that the guy is like, can you shut up?
and I felt so bad for Luke, because he's like having a great
Me
time.
too.
Yeah,
He's like just sitting in he's literally watching his movie.
I think this is that is where he was just like kind of like sitting in the background of this climactic confrontation. He's just like, haha, yeah. That is the point where I wrote down, what the fuck is Luke's deal? He's just around.
What is he? It's great.
And then the second, like the millisecond that the evil wizard starts attacking Aggie, he's like, what the fuck? You're evil?
Yeah, I literally wrote down, I quoted, no. It's like literally what he does. It's so fucking funny.
Because Aggie refuses to give him Merlin's relic, which is, the sort of had been established as this is the thing that will control the people of Halloweentown. Because
it's either gonna control or save them. It's the MacGuffin. It's the all-powerful thing that is gonna either make the good guys win or the bad guys win.
Yeah,
it's just whoever has it.
It's the fucking transmucra device.
Yeah.
And so it's established, or rather,
they take a statue of a guy with horns and they send him straight to hell. he gets
oh my god, they
sucked
totally
in
do. Yeah,
in like one of the funniest shots.
They do throw a PNG of a horned man into
like
because I don't remember what it specifically it was. I think it was the evil wizard like casts a spell and he throws it at Aggie and she dodges and it hits like a guy and he just like one of the statues, one of the frozen people, and he just like flies up and into the portal.
Just fucking rip to that guy.
And then at this point, this is where Luke starts trying to fucking get out of there, and then.
But he runs into who's that?
Oh, it's fucking
Gwen and the kids
What
who
the
were
F?
following Grandma the whole time. They're in there and they see what's going on. They're like,
because they
Grandma,
saw her
no.
out the window of the city hall. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Luke tries to run out of the theater, and Gwen, seeing him trying to escape, drops the sickest bars of all time and says, "Wastrel youth of benighted hours, be thee vanquished by my powers!"
Which she straight up, if the magic system which has been established in the movie so far is meant to be believed, I think she was trying to fucking kill Luke there.
She literally was trying to murder him on the spot. But of course, she's rusty, and the spell hears her saying flowers instead of powers.
And so he gets ensnared by a flower trap, which is
like, thank God she was not a killer that day, because holy shit, the change in energy, I fucking cackled. Like, it was so goddamn funny. Her first words in that scene are wastrel youth.
of benighted hours.
Which is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. I literally haven't heard anybody say the word wastrel since I played Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah, no, this was good, like fucking Necronomicon ass, fucking cool, fun English words.
It's
Wastrel.
so good.
It is the old English, you know. The script was. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't recorded a podcast in a long time. Let's
Me
keep
neither.
going.
It's fine. We're having fun.
I think that Gwen didn't kill Luke specifically because she didn't want to kill a child. I think that she wasn't focusing on the spell, and then she immediately starts ignoring him because she's like, oh, whatever, he's taking care of it. Whatever.
And then she tries to play it off like, I said powers, not flowers, but like she's actually just good.
Yeah, she's just a kind person with a kind heart, and I like to, because like I've done that before where I like start saying something and then like halfway through the sentence I'm like, oh my god, no, I shouldn't be saying this, and then
like pivot.
Yeah, and I imagine that's kind of like what her mental thing, her mental
Well, yeah, like because her mom's in danger. Like we'll give her that one, and this kid's here. He's clearly kind of the bad boy. So she panics for a second, but then she's like, oh shit, he's just a kid. Like I can't do this.
Luckily, Gwen does not kill Luke. And they sort of have like a little showdown where it's like, oh, the big bad evil guy, and then the evil wizard shoots one of the spells at Aggie, and Aggie just kind of stands there, but Gwen goes and pushes her out of the way, and so Gwen gets hit by the petrifying spell, and then Grandma gets hit by the petrifying spell. And so it's only the kids left. Luke,
the kids are left. Mom and Grandma die. Goodbye forever.
Well, no, they don't die. It's if
they don't die
because actually, as they're leaving,
it becomes very clear.
Grandma stops. Dylan says, we can't save them until we save ourselves. Come on. And Grandma says, go. It's just an evil spell that freezes us. and then. And that's the last thing she says.
The fucking funniest line of the movie.
It's just an evil spell that freezes us.
Go. so the kids leave the theater and they're safe because the Shadow Man he's not going to go into the sunlight. So.
No, yeah, because of course, naturally.
Oh my god, that fucking line kills me.
So
it's just an evil spell that freezes us.
I do think that they throw the words evil and good around like willy-nilly, but also in a way where like the guy says like I am evil, you know.
He's very clear about it. He's very on the nose about how evil he is.
This is the end of the second act, so you can sort of imagine everybody's at their lowest, you know, oh no, how are we going to save Mom and Grandma? The authority figures have left our life. Oh no. And so they resolve to go make the spell.
We're the kids.
The witch's
We're the kids. We're the kids in Halloweentown. We're the kids. We're the kids. We're the kids in Halloweentown.
What is that?
Bright lights and everyone's moving. I can feel the heat, but it's soothing, heading down. You don't know Kids of America?
Oh, we're the kids of America. Whoa,
yeah.
We're the kids of Halloween.
Sorry, I was doing the chant that happens at the end of the sound. That's like the song that's like the rising sort of anticipation of the ending.
See, that's why I didn't, because I've never heard that song in its entirety. I've only heard the bit that was in Jimmy Neutron.
I was gonna say, you never seen Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius?
Well, they never finished that song in that one. They end it halfway through.
You've never seen Meet the Robinsons, where the Jonas Brothers say we're the kids of the future? Whoa.
I'm gonna meet your Robinsons if you don't.
Oh no!
I don't fucking know. So they go out and they go make the witch's brew. They need, like we established earlier, the spit of a vampire, the hair of a werewolf, and the sweat of a ghost. And first,
They hit up the barber shop first.
yeah, naturally. And there's a gay barber there who happens to be a wolf man. And
She's no. She's an herb, not a shrub. Think salad, like crispy.
he is good at his job. Let's
He's
be
really
honest.
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
He's great.
He does have the most embarrassing line in the movie, though.
What's that? What was it?
Which is the very end. So they just to speed things
Oh,
up a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit, they shave off his hair.
Yeah, they try to get him like a
leaves.
job, and he says no, and so fucking Dylan distracts him. No, Marnie distracts him while Dylan goes and grabs the razor, like the little buzzer.
Yeah, they do so by committing arson. They
Yes.
start shooting flames in the middle of the
true.
work establishment.
And once they realize, because they didn't know they were doing that at first, but once they realized they kept doing it because they realized that it was a good distraction.
It starts to become predetermined.
Yeah. And during
anyway,
that
so
time,
the-
Dylan just fucking like shaves a whole fucking
Just literally just
like a whole
comes at
strip
him like
off the back
literally.
of his head.
This is important to establish. Literally, like assault, like physical assault.
Yes.
That would legally be determined as assault.
Yes.
Thankfully, the werewolf is not going to press charges because he looks into the mirror and goes, "Oh, this could work for me." And then this is the most embarrassing line of the movie. He goes, "Yeah, baby."
He
Like
does
he's
a
Austin fucking
Austin
Powers.
Powers.
Why
I wrote
did he
down-
do that?
I wrote down all caps. Why did he say
Yeah, baby.
like that?
Why did he do that?
He does straight up, and it does, and I'll play it right now so you can hear it, viewer. He does straight up just say, "Yeah, baby," like Austin Powers.
He's just a gay barber up until that point, then he turns into fucking Mike Myers.
God damn it! Why does every cool straight
Not even Michael Myers.
every person who I think is cool and gay turns out to be Michael Myers every single time?
It's such a fucking disaster.
So-
we need some kind of reckoning in the LGBT community to stop this shit from happening.
We as a community need to kill Michael Myers. So they go to the gym
Yeah.
next, and they go to fucking. I mean, they go to the pool, I guess, right? Or like the spa.
Yeah. Yeah, the gym. It's
The gym. Yeah. So they go and sneak down, and they see no death guard on duty. That's cute. And they go.
They see the snot man.
They see the snot man.
Which Soapy comments,
It's Snot Man.
It's Snot Man. This was during the very beginning when they were looking at the picture book. There was like straight up there was the scene at the barber with the wolf man, and then the next page had like her with like a
yeah.
which
I totally didn't even realize that those were like the places that they go to later. That's kind of cute.
yeah and so fucking there was like a snot man, which was like a swamp monster, and she's like Snot Man because they see her in the gym, or in the gym.
Yeah.
And then they go into a room of nondescript purpose, where there is a steam like bath.
It's like a steam like sweat room. I
But-
think.
but it is-
Don't
it-
they call it like a sweat room or something?
Like that's what ostensibly it is, because there is like a little thing that you can step into, and like you shut it over your
But
body.
I've
and it's all
never
steamy.
seen one of these in
No,
my
me
life.
neither.
This device is completely foreign to me. By the way, just a quick note: why like the final third of the movie turns into sketch comedy
Yeah,
at these scenes.
that's true.
Like they're just like these individual little vignettes
I
that
think-
culminate in the final battle. But
I think they were just like, all right, we gotta fucking wrap it up. Let's.
I know, yeah. Let's just work with what we got. Anyway,
So it's the ghost. He comes into the sweat room again. I don't know what this room is, because it's not like a sauna that they're in. It's just like a room,
Yeah.
in like a bathroom that there happens to be this like contraption in the middle of that the ghost stands in. Which, by the way, the ghost steps into this contraption, the steam contraption, right? And he like shuts it over himself, and he's like his head is sticking at the top, and he's like all smiling, all content. And 3 children begin walking up to him, and he opens his eyes and he just smiles at them as they approach.
they go, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah, just like sort of like, just they're coming to watch me sweat, I guess. All right. And so I don't know why, but there you go. I also noted here ghosts tend to be depressed, and that makes sense because like usually ghosts are like they have unfinished business, right? And so I was just sort of noting myself there in the notes, like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I guess they would be depressed, huh? I digress. They
start just. I don't even know how to describe what they do.
They start
if
doing
not,
microaggressions to
they
this
start
ghost.
harassing him with microaggressions and
Yeah.
like full on like racism.
Yeah, no, Sophie straight up, I at some point he says, like, do you think I like being stereotyped?
Yeah, he's like, I don't find these stereotypes very funny, because Sophie starts doing her, I guess now new and improved ghost impression. She pulls a sheet, and right in front of him, she just starts going, ooh,
Yeah.
and like running around with the sheet, like,
And-
just,
and-
I guess to distract him.
At first, he's like,
something?
all right, haha, okay, kid. Because I'm sure he's, like, had racism happen to him before.
Yeah,
but then he's like,
he's
all
not
right.
trying to start shit. He's not trying to escalate. You
Yeah,
know?
and he's like, all right, no, seriously, you gotta stop. Because, like, he is pleading with her to stop, but she just keeps doing it. And he, like, gets really genuinely
he gets
flustered
like
and upset.
genuinely upset, like realistically upset in a way
Yeah.
that made me very like uncomfortable.
Yeah. And the Marnie sort of sneaks up to him with like the vial and just kind of fucking puts it up to his neck and he sweats into it. Hooray, they got the sweat. And then
they leave and he steps out of the machine and he's skinny.
He goes into the machine fat and he comes out skinny with a much higher voice. Which
And I don't understand what the joke is.
Implication is he was like sweating off ectoplasm or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
You
It,
sound
like,
so
that
concerned
one-
about this.
That joke really vexes me. I like truly do not know like what
Relies
the
so
bit
heavily
is.
on you understanding or being able to sort of like guess at what ghost biology
Yeah.
must be like, you know?
yeah, like that, like the explanation for that was in the scene description of the script, but
Yeah.
like it was never actually communicated. You know,
I did write down Sophie racism moment. I did want to just make sure I got that in there real quick.
it's her one sin. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, she'll be fine. Anyway, so this is also he says the ghost says, this is hot. This is not. It ain't as hot as my time in Hades. So this guy was in hell, by the way. At some
Right?
point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Horrifying implications.
Yeah. And then after these two sort of scenes where, they sort of sneak in and they have to distract people and they have to use their brains, to sort of get these things, they then cut to a scene in a dentist where a vampire is getting a tooth pulled. And it's nice. It's just like a nice little scene. And then like the dentist like pulls the fang and it's fine. And then he puts it like on a tray behind him, and then it's revealed that the nurse is actually Marnie, and then they get out. And they don't even like establish how they snuck into the dentist to steal biological material and leave.
And that is, I think, like their 5th or 6th crime of the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They quite literally turn into just rampant criminals that need to be stopped immediately.
Well, it's because their insane grandma sent them on a fetch quest, so they had to.
Yeah,
fulfill it.
the grandma literally said, if you want something, take it no matter what.
Exactly. It fucking yeah. So okay, they have all the things they need. Great. They try to go back to Grandma's house so they can finish the brew to get Merlin's thing. And Mr. Bones, this skeleton taxi driver, comes up, and he is okay. This is important now because so he says like, oh hey, I'll take you to where you need to go, and it's very clear that he's like not trustworthy. He's gonna try to fucking take him to Calabar. But the thing is, previously in the movie, he was the one who pointed out that Luke was like not to be trusted, and he said like he said some shadow creature gave him a nose job. Ha!
Yeah.
So like but he says it like so genuinely, and also I feel like he wouldn't have been giving them that advice unless he genuinely believed it. Uh-huh.
You know what I think?
What?
And this is, I'm literally just coming up with this off the dome.
What?
You know what I think?
What?
Luke was not always Calabar's like main kind of lackey.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, he's a bit younger. He's not a skeleton. He has a bit more sway in like, the cool like youth of the town.
Sure.
And so when he made a deal with Calabar to get that nose job, Calabar kind of just started using him because he's like an impressionable kid. He'll like do whatever the fuck he wants, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the skeleton probably got a little jealous, and so he can't like reveal the plan, but he can start like sowing discourse about Luke kind of sucking, to
the
people.
toxic work relationship in the background of Halloweentown between Skeleton and Luke. God.
Yeah, so he can like talk about how much he hates Luke and how much people should distrust Luke, but he can't say so in a way that reveals that he knows anything.
God. That's your mini Mount Molehill, is the drama, the inherent drama between Luke and the skeleton. Yeah. So
I wanted to for this episode, not to show my hand too much. I wanted to for this episode go in maybe a little bit more of like an emotional kind of direction, a little bit more like in canon. The movie could not fucking stop giving me seeds of something much greater. It's really frustrating that I wanted this one to be a little more low key, but I physically could not.
There's so much to talk about,
that.
and here's the thing: is my theory is also kind of jam packed. So I'm glad that we're finally getting to the climax so we can start talking about the fun stuff again.
I know it's been 2 hours.
Oh my
like
God.
it'll cut down. But
Yeah.
Whatever.
So they go back to Grandma's house, and Dylan and Marnie both straight up just forget the incantation that Grandma did, but autistic Sophie does remember, so it's okay. Because like she definitely is, I think, like because she's the way that they show her. It's
totally.
Like, yeah, no, it's 100% little sister is autistic.
She's a fucking genius.
Yeah, no, she's a genius, and she remembers exactly the. By the way, the Welsh incantation that her grandma was reciting at the beginning of the movie, word for word. And so they light it up and they say, "It's lit!" like that, which is cool.
I did write a little zinger down here.
Go ahead.
When Marnie says, I can't remember Grandma's spell, I wrote down, maybe it starts with Wastrel Youth. Which I
It's a way
still
cooler
cannot.
spell.
I know. I cannot fucking believe that is like the first line that Gwen says in that scene. Anyway,
She's angry. It's a very angrily
so
charged
good.
spell. Yeah.
I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of my life.
So they fucking light up the thing. They dump the the dry ice into it.
Dylan says it's lit. By the way, he
Yes.
says,
Oh,
"You
yeah.
guys, you did it, guys. It's lit."
Yeah. And then nothing really happens, and they're like, "We got to put it in the jack-o'-lantern in the middle of town," which I don't know how they got to that conclusion. That wasn't
Mortals see, mortals do.
Mortal see,
And-
mortal do. That's
yeah,
right.
well, because they go back to the movie theater first. So they take the light, they go back to the theater, and they're like, okay, what do we do with this? And they try like waving it around in Grandma's face, and it's not working. And Marnie is like, shit. And so Marnie like remembers, she's like, Grandma said something about installing it somewhere, but I wouldn't know where. And then she thinks like, when it's dark on Halloween, where do you put the candle? Mortals see, mortals do. And so they know the jack-o'-lantern. Big jack-o'-lantern in the middle of the town.
I get that like logically, but like that's still like
But
such
like
a big
but that
leap.
is such a huge leap, but also at that point what choice do they have?
I guess, yeah. So they head into town. Hang on. I'm getting caught up in my notes. You take the lead.
Oh, that's kind of troublesome because this is the part of my second watch through that I paid the least attention to.
Oh my God.
I literally started skipping at this bit. So they head to town, and they're trying to put the like candle, I guess we'll just call it, in the jack-o'-lantern.
They approach City Hall, but then a big tornado comes and fucking,
like a big storm starts happening,
and the scary mummy man.
Calabar-
Yeah.
Calabar appears on the roof, and he's like, I'm like, we're finally going to like head back to the olden times, and we're going to be done with our like exile from the mortal world. Like we are sick of living in isolation, and like I'm finally going to bring in a new age where we're not stuck here and we can go and live with the humans and like eradicate them and all that evildoer shit. And yeah, it is established finally that his primary motivation is to like destroy Halloweentown and move all of the Halloween creatures back to the mortal world.
And this is the point where it is revealed that evil mummy man is Calabar. It is sort of, you know, I don't remember exactly how it's revealed, but at some point, I think it actually, he just reveals it himself as the mayor to the townspeople, because he's like literally standing on top of City Hall and he's like, this has been my plan the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
And I also wrote down Dan Calabar is a great actor.
He's really good.
He's so good. This whole monologue that he's giving is so powerful and well delivered. And he's like, "Oh, you think you would escape me, you little fucking Cromwell?" Because he sees a little red hood riding.
Because there's a hooded figure, that's the hood that Marnie was wearing, running through the crowd trying to get to the jack-o'-lantern.
But what Calabar doesn't know is that directly before they got to the City Hall Plaza, Luke stopped them on the street and he was like, "Hey, look, you can't go over there. It's a trap. Calabar's fucking crazy and evil, and he set this whole thing up." And Marnie's like, "You're just trying to trick me. Get out of here, jerk."
Yeah, she says, "Save your tricks, twerp."
Yeah.
That was a great line.
And he basically just, you know, convinces her. He's like, "Look, I know I did something bad, but that doesn't mean I can't try to make up for it." And so when Calabar goes down to the little Red Riding Hooded figure and he fucking throws a little magic spell at it, the figure falls over and it turns out it was Luke. So Luke got petrified. I wrote down based Luke at the last second.
Yeah, he really turned it around.
And while he's doing that, he realized Marnie is sneaking behind him, putting Merlin's relic into the, like, she's crawling up the jack-o'-lantern, and he's like, "No!" And he shoots a power at her.
And he gets Marnie, and she is seemingly knocked unconscious. conscious.
And he says, "You see, evil is better, or it's more powerful than the
Power of evil is stronger than good.
Yeah, he says that out loud to
So
everybody.
on the nose.
And then Marnie overcomes being paralyzed by remembering that her grandma said, "You just you have to know what you want, and then you have to let yourself have it."
Yeah.
And then she
So
drops
she
it.
drops the mini scepter into the lantern, and it lands perfectly flush with the receptacle.
Mhm.
And then it's lit. It
It's
gets
lit.
lit. And big light like flashes out of the lantern, and we cut to the theater where a big light is flashing out of the screen, overtaking what was once the dark portal, and
Mhm.
then everyone in the theater is restored to health, and they're no
And
longer
Marnie wakes up,
petrified.
and she's fine, and it's great. And basically what happens is that the thrall has been released over everybody in Halloweentown who had been affected by Calabar's evil magic. Hooray!
But
But
Calabar is still around.
yes, and he demonstrates this by using Tim and Eric telekinesis to wriggle a JPEG of the Merlin relic out of the straight up. It does look like a fucking like meme edit of like the scepter coming out of the jack-o'-lantern and flying into his hand. At this point, Aggie and Gwen come back into the city plaza, and I think they're having like a family reunion. And then Calabar's like, "You think you can fucking defeat me? No, I'm evil." And then Gwen starts doing spells, and Aggie starts doing a spell, and it's not enough because Calabar's a big, evil, powerful wizard. But then like it shows like Dylan, and he's like getting all angry. He's like, "I hate this fucking Calabar guy," and his fingers start like glowing and twitching, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" And then and he's like, "I guess I have magic too," and she's like, "Of course you do. You're a Cromwell," And then the kids sort of
And
go,
so,
"What?
yeah,
What?"
they all join hands, and they're like, "It doesn't matter if you have the relic, because us Cromwells, all 5 of us, are more powerful than you and your relic alone."
She says, "Hey, chocolate bar," which I don't know what that means.
Oh, because he looks like Willy Wonka. Because he looks like Willy Wonka.
It's all connected, chat. This is what Mount Molehill's
It's
all
all
about.
coming together. That's why. That's so funny. I didn't remember that line at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, they start holding hands, and God, this is so important. They don't say a spell. They hold hands, and they stand there, and they go,
Oh! It's important though. What's important is Aggie and Gwen were reciting a spell before the kids.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something else that I'm excited to talk about. But yeah, no, the Cromwells hold hands and hum.
So after
him.
the spell, yeah, they hold hands and they just start humming, and they like amplify the power of the spell.
And like it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So
How is he defeated? Does he get like sucked up into a portal or something?
I think they just explode him.
He dies. He does die.
He dies. He gets explosion somehow, and he gets like I don't know.
Yeah, and then at the very end, Aggie puts the talisman back into the jack-o'-lantern, and it makes a terrifying and ominous sound. And then everybody celebrates them, and then Luke comes over, and I wrote down, "Don't fucking tell me Luke turns into a love interest or some shit." What the fuck?
He totally does though.
This little fucking twerp who has been an antagonist literally the entire movie up until the last 2 scenes where he is realizing that he was doing evil things and has not had any up until 5 minutes ago, Marnie was like talking shit about him.
Yeah.
And then they kiss. She kisses him.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I mean his face is revealed like, "Oh, you don't like me anymore because I'm ugly," because he gets like the
yeah, he looks like a
prosthetic
goblin
makeup.
now.
Yeah, he gets the prosthetic makeup that everybody else had on, and he's like, and she's like, "Oh well, I think you're cool anyway. Fucking whatever." And then
So
Cromwell, go back to the Cromwells, and Aggie's like, "Oh, well, I'm glad we could help. It's a shame I won't see the kids again for so long." And then Mom, Gwen, is like, "Well, I could actually use a babysitter on some weeknights. How about you come fucking live with us?"
yeah, see, so and it's also there's a conversation between Gwen and Marnie where it's oh my god, it pisses me off so much because it's supposed to be kind of like that Disney Channel moment of reconciliation where they both like realize that they were both right about some things and they come together somewhere in the middle as a compromise and they're like, we know how to like move forward peacefully, right?
Yeah, the resolution.
Yeah, you could call it that for some reason. So
but
Marnie goes like, Mom, you were right. There were some things about Halloweentown that I just didn't understand. And then Gwen is like, no, I should have trusted you. Like, you're my daughter. I love you. I should have like given you more trust. But then Gwen fully is just on board with magic again.
Yeah.
There's there's the evil's gone. And it is implied that I guess the one real actual thing that Marnie did not understand about Halloweentown is that there was a evil guy, and they killed the evil guy, and so
everything
now
was fine.
Magic is okay. Gwen is on board. Grandma's gonna come live with them, and Marnie never actually had to learn a lesson because she wanted something, and you know what she did? She let herself have it.
Fuck.
And the universe around her sure as hell fucking let her have that.
And they all get into the bus, and the people of Halloweentown all cheer and clap and see them off as they fly away in their bus, and the movie over.
Let's cut to commercial and then come back and discuss.
Penny, do you think there's anything we can talk about in this movie? Because I don't know, the thread.
No, I think the well is completely dry.
Yeah, well,
this is probably just going to be the first like actual recap episode. Yeah.
Well, they fucking won't be able to tell. All right, these fucking kids. I'm gonna cut this out. These fucking kids.
I'm literally gonna make shit up and if it sounds good at all,
I
like
know.
fucking you owe me $10. Like
Yeah.
it's so like.
Can you believe they fucking bought the shit with the fucking the World War II stuff? Can you fucking believe that?
It's insane how stupid our audience is.
Do you like this joke, guys? This joke where we're
Is it good? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you like feel like we're making like putting on a good show here?
Yeah, they love it. After these commercial breaks. Bye. Who the fuck is this scout chick that we're hearing about? And why does she sound so much like Chase? Don't tell anybody. I am Chase, or I used to be. I got one of them dead names now, because I'm a girl. Don't worry, nothing's really going to change about it. Here's what I look like. Bam! I'm pretty much the same person, I'm just hotter now. So, and happier, for the record. So, there you go. But that's kind of all there is to it. Yeah, I'm just a girl now. Sorry. Anyway, no ads or sponsors this week. We're just going to fill you in on some stuff and then plug some stuff, and then we'll get back to the show. So the only thing I really want to bring to you today is the fact that we were gone for 4 years. We didn't really address it officially. We were just sort of hokey-jokey about it. And to address it officially, I mean, it sounds like a cop-out, but we really did just kind of get busy. It's this show, Mount Molehill, is something that takes a lot of creative and constructive energy. And it does sound simple, watch a movie and talk about it every other week, but it is a lot more draining and taxing than it is to create like a podcast or to just record a Let's Play or something, or not a podcast, excuse me, a stream, live stream. It's something that takes a lot more construction, and so it can become kind of daunting to get back to it after it's been 3 months and and you haven't even updated people on about it, and then it's been a year since the last episode, and you haven't really made any thoughts on making another one because you're just so busy. And then later on, I fucking just stopped streaming altogether. I stopped being a content creator for many reasons, big life reorg, and so it just kind of it became more and more difficult to assume that we could like redirect our trajectory back to recording Mount Molehill. And then one day, about a month ago, Penny and I were hanging out, and I was just like, I think we're gonna snap out of it. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I think we're just gonna like stop not doing stuff. Like I think we're just gonna like stop putting stuff off. I think we're just gonna snap out of it. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And then we set a scheduling date. And so that's what you heard at the very beginning of the snap into it thing. It was a reference to that because that's sort of like been a theme for keeping us on track. And it's been nice. And I don't know if much more will come from it, but if this episode is all that came from that, then I think that that's good. I'm really happy that we made this episode. We had a lot of fun making it. But hey, I also don't want to say that there won't be any more, because we had a lot of fun making this. Like literally, we didn't even mean to make it 3 hours. We were just having that much fun while recording. So, there you go. Let's see, plugs. You can find Penny and myself both on Blue Sky. I'm Clown Depot, all one word. She's Snapcube, all one word. And you can also find Mount Molecast on Blue Sky, but it's not Mount Molecast anymore. It's now Mount Molehill, because we actually got the Mount Molehill URL. So, hooray! I would also like to say thank you to Graham Cartna for the use of subtext and An Obsession with Kit, 2 of his songs, really good songs. We use it for the mid-roll song and for the intro and outro song. So thanks, Graham. Very cool songs that are also really thematically relevant in title to the podcast, which really helps out a lot. Appreciate it. Aside from that, there's nothing really to talk about, so I'll tell you a little story real quick. I was talking to my friend, Mohammed, the other day, and I was talking about my sort of morning routine, right? And I was telling him about how sometimes I skip breakfast just because sometimes I can't afford it, or sometimes, it's just I'm too busy or I can't think of something to eat. And he was like, my friend, do you want me to, send you some money? I don't want you to go without a meal. And I'm like, no, hey, dude, don't worry about that, first of all. Second of all, your situation is much worse than mine right now. My friend Mohammed is currently with his family in Gaza, and food prices are very high for them at the moment. So I was like, no, dude, like, you absolutely cannot even offer me that. That's crazy. And he said, my friend, you have to understand how frustrating it is for me to hear that you would refuse my offer so readily like that. And I said, you know what? I apologize. Someday, when you and your family are able to move to Egypt through the crossing, and maybe someday when we're able to meet up after this is all over, I will have you buy me a fancy meal. And he agreed to that. He laughed. He liked that a lot. And I would really like to see that happen. If you would like to help my friend Mohammed, if you go to my Blue Sky or my Twitter, Clown Depot, Clown_Depot on Twitter, or my blog, Paper Mario Wiki, or my Blue Sky, again, Clown Depot, all one word, you can find his fundraiser pinned. If you like the show, if you want to support us in any way, we don't got a Patreon or anything right now. You can support Penny on her stream. Content creation is no longer my full-time gig, so I'm good. But if you'd like to support us, or you'd like to support me, or you'd like to show, appreciation for the show, I would really appreciate it. Any amount to his campaign would help a lot. It would go farther than I think you know. So please don't hesitate to share it or donate or, just send well wishes. And that's it. Yeah, so follow me, follow Penny, help my friend Mohammed if you can. Sorry, it took 4 years, and I'm a girl now. And that's it. Okay, back to the show. Welcome back from commercial break. Halloweentown.
This is the part of the show where we finally do the thing that you listen to the show for.
Yeah. This is the part where we tell you what the movie was actually about. And I think
we just kind of pretended that it was about all that stuff, but
yeah, that's what the writers were telling us.
Holy fuck, this movie is a goddamn vein. It is a rich vein of symbolism.
Whatever the writers thought this movie was about, maybe they did, but they didn't know it as well as we do. So now we're gonna tell us, you, Penny. tell me all about it.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm gonna start because this I think now's the time to maybe play our hand a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
And tell the audience. You are listening to the first episode of Mount Molehill, where completely of our own volition, not comparing notes or anything, Scout and I came to, I think, almost the exact conclusion.
Almost the same. The same themes, absolutely.
The same themes, 100%, no doubt about it.
Straight up, it is unavoidable. It would have been impossible for you to watch this movie with the same mindset that we did and not come away with similar conclusions. Because
this is going to be the most definitive analysis of Halloweentown you have ever heard in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Just setting you up for this now. Okay, so I want to open this up with a question just to confirm. because before I go into anything, my notes are very scattered.
Sure.
I don't have a lot of like organized thoughts, so I'm gonna be doing this pretty loosely, and it's all very vibes based, just to set the
Sure.
tone here.
That's fine.
Because I'm not so good at the research and the history and all that kind of stuff. I find that's like a weak point, and I find that where I sort of thrive personally is with the resonating with media, like emotionally.
Yeah, the
and
story.
just experientially, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm kind of like I'm coming into my own about that, and I'm very comfortable with that, which is why I expected to come at this movie with maybe a different angle than I did. But unfortunately, what I found was something that I relate to just very heavily. And so I'm going to kind of spitball about this, maybe come in with a couple of let's just say examples of the symbolism here.
Anecdotes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my section of this might be shorter because I believe mine is less evidence-based and more...
Let me tell you something, Penn, because we've been talking about this back and forth the past week or so, where we the first time one of us watched it, I think it was earlier this week, I watched it for the first time. And we very quickly, like we said, came to the conclusion that we were on very similar trains of thought, but
yeah.
I have heard some things from you about this that are so far away from mine that I'm really curious, because I didn't analyze the characters that much. Like, I got what I needed from them, but I was more analyzing this, like, the world. I really want to know. I'm really curious.
Yeah. Okay, so let's sate that curiosity. I'm going to open up my section with a question here. I just need you to confirm or deny.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is totally like evangelical propaganda, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like okay, so
it's the movie is from. It so clearly wants you to love Christ. It's like. It's nuts. It's like a missionary, you know?
It is quite literally, like, it is such a fucking, like, stealth, charismatic, evangelical kind of project that we're working with here. This movie, in my mind, in my heart, is about a mother that cannot escape her Christian upbringing.
Yes.
No matter what
100%.
she does.
Specifically, I don't know if it was specific for you. To me, in my theory, it is very specifically Roman Catholicism. This is a Catholic household.
For me, again, I'm coming from this from a very like personal kind of experiential thing. My perspective is from like me personally. I was raised evangelical Christian.
Sure.
So my perspective is Pentecostal. If you're at all familiar.
Yeah. Sorry, I just bumped my microphone.
No, you're good.
I think that. The important thing is that it is overbearing family religion. That is the thing.
Right. Yeah. That is the key. Oh man, God, how do we like get into okay, so let me just start. I'm gonna go through some of my notes here and just kind of like read these off. So it's important to note that every member of the family represents a different sort of piece in the overall dynamic of a family that is struggling with their relationship with religion.
Okay.
Tell
me about
so you
that.
have the mother who her history is that she was once in Halloweentown. She was once in the church and she married out of it. She married a secular man. She married a human man who had nothing to do with their customs, their culture, their beliefs, or anything. And thusly, she learned to love a secular life and sort of like left the church and learned to sort of value normalcy, is how she describes it. She says, I want to be normal. My husband was human. He was normal. I want my kids to be normal. We want to live in the normal world and sort of be in normal society.
They seek the stability. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so then the husband dies. And we don't entirely know how long ago it happened. I assume it was around the time Sophie was born, probably.
It seems recent. No, because I'm pretty sure I saw them in a picture where like all three of the kids were like the same age as they were in the movie, and they were all just
right. Okay, yeah, that could be like a production thing, but we can extrapolate. From
they
that.
died. The dad died.
the dad died relatively recently, and so the mother is in this very sort of like. Vulnerable state. Yeah, exactly.
Recent
the grandma
single mother,
the grandma represents her history, her upbringing, their legacy in the church. She is a powerful figure in Halloweentown, aka in the church, in their sort of like congregation is how you would say it.
And they clearly have such a relationship already. The dynamic is already established between Aggie and Gwen, where they already face off like that. Yeah.
The foundation, and God, I relate to this so much. The foundation of nearly every single one of their interactions is Grandma trying to bring Gwen back to Halloweentown.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no sort of level of true understanding of what Gwen wants. Aggie is always coming at it from the perspective of, if I can just push a little harder, I'm doing God's will, and just kind of like poking and prodding at her, all of her vulnerabilities, and using her children and like kind of like instilling fear about how she's raising her children to get her back to Halloweentown and back to the environment that they know and that she raised her in, right?
Yeah. It's she's unrelenting with it. It's in every single scene, even if she's like ostensibly saying something that could be for Gwen's benefit, it is always with the ulterior motive of getting her back to Halloweentown.
Right. Let's talk about Marnie. Actually, I was going to say let's talk about Dylan. Let's not just yet. Let's talk about Marnie.
Please.
Marnie is the kid who is like very impressionable and wants more out of life.
Yeah.
And the very intoxicating thing about evangelical Christianity, when being sort of like targeted towards targeted towards children, towards a child who like is maybe not satisfied. I mean, she's also hurting over the loss of their father. You have to imagine. They don't really show that too much, but like her dad's gone. She needs stability. She needs support.
Lots of friction with mom. She seems very stressed.
Yeah. She
doesn't get to hang out with her friends.
Yeah, and she's very interested in this kind of stuff, right? She wants to explore the world of I might go pretty hard on like framing this as like a religious film. Just know that like when I say things like the church or whatever, you can swap out those words with Halloween and like Halloweentown and stuff like that. And just know that like I'm using one as a direct allegory for another. So she's interested. Maybe she has like a special interest or whatever in like, religion and culture and this kind of stuff. And she wants to know more, and she wants more out of life because she hates like this normal suburban existence. She wants to be with her friends out in the town, celebrating Halloween, Easter.
Yeah, exactly.
Direct parallel, of course, obviously.
But she's also not like already like super ingrained. She's not entombed within
she can go either way, but the problem is that Gwen is not giving her a lot of explanation. Yeah. Right?
Which is not helping her case. Like she's very vague about it all.
Yeah, not at all. Which I think is a failing of the movie and not of Gwen personally if she were a real person.
I also think that it can be interpreted as Gwen having trauma surrounding it and not wanting to talk about it.
She almost certainly does. Yeah, 100%. And actually, holy fuck, a fucking vision just appeared in my mind.
Oh, I want to hear about it.
But it requires some context that I haven't gotten to yet, Scout.
Well, type it out. I want to hear this vision so bad.
Okay, hold on.
Miss Raven Simone. Yeah. The wheels are turning even now.
Waning. Okay, we'll get into that later.
All right. So Marnie.
So Marnie is not given a lot to latch onto in terms of the reason why she should distrust their upbringing.
Right.
And so she's very impressionable. She's very easily swayed. She is fickle right now. She's at that stage where like she's 13. She's practically an adult. She has to start like learning about the world and learning kind of like her own,
enough to rebel.
Yeah, her own belief systems, right? So that's a huge deal. That is a huge deal. That is when, like, if you're in evangelical Christianity, that is like at least in my upbringing, the youth was emphasized so distinctly.
Yeah.
Like purely because the youth is so like impressionable and in that culture it would be described as like powerful.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, because you have to establish early on within the mind of the child that you are trying to indoctrinate that, hey, you are important and, this is all about you and, these are all the things. There's a lot of...
Like, God wants you for his plans, and you have the power to, like, enact them. And also, there's this angle of, like, you can get more out of life if you're with us. You know, like you can have money, you can have status, you can have miracles. You know, that's a big thing because kids are like very fascinated in the idea of wanting something, letting themselves have it, or in this case, like asking God for it and receiving it simply because they are good and, you know, they follow God and he's going to reward them for that.
When I was young,
Right?
I did view like acts of God as just magic.
I mean, it's depending on how you're raised, it can be framed as a very mystical kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was raised to believe that like just true, like genuine, like magic miracles happen all the time.
And they
you
do,
know?
but just not like that. Let's go. Magnets are miracles, but not,
yeah, in a way.
in a way.
So,
Anyway. Mhm.
so that's Marnie.
Right.
Let's talk about Dylan.
Yay!
I wrote this down. The first thing we see Dylan, the boy of science and reason, doing is reading a book called The Flagship. A flagship is a leading ship in a fleet, aka the most quintessential representation of that fleet or movement or line of products, etc.
Okay.
Thus, the filmmakers are subconsciously communicating to us that this is how they see the secular world. A sniveling, contrarian, easily swayed kid with no backbone and no understanding of the truth or even his full potential. His appeals to order and logic are purely a veil he places over his own eyes to appease resistance from worldly people who have power over him,
Fuck, that's so
aka
good.
his mom.
That is such an interesting framing of that, because that is like, if this is the frame that we're looking at it through, if this is a fucking evangelical propaganda, it makes so much sense that he, who was constantly appealing to authority, would be the one who's viewed as like the sheep, you know, the one who's not really thinking for himself.
Yeah, he's appealing to his parents, his school, his government.
Oh my god, I just remembered a really funny line when they're reading in bed, and it's like a magical place, and he says, like Cleveland. And they look at him and he's like, I hear they have a good school district, and I love that kid. I love Dylan
He's so
much.
funny.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
Anyway.
All right, now the final piece of this puzzle in terms of like the main family dynamic is of course Sophie. Sophie, I don't know if, because you said you didn't think a lot about Sophie.
No, not at all.
Sophie is the quintessential example of the faith of a child and how necessary having the innocent, unquestioning faith of a child is into having like a powerful place in Christianity.
Fuck,
Because
that's good.
in my upbringing, for example, faith is everything. Faith is defined as just the pure belief in something that you have quite literally no evidence for. It is emotional. It is raw. It is primal
Spiritual.
in a way. Yeah, spiritual. And it is like, it is this experience of like believing in something, but not really knowing whether it can happen, but you like delude yourself into believing that it can, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that in a way that sounds so insultingly. I just think it's like the most apt way to describe it.
You have to stop yourself from. You have to ignore your brain that is telling you have no physical evidence to back this up. That is.
It is like the most extreme example of like benefit of the doubt,
right?
But in everything you do. Or maybe not benefit of the doubt. What's the suspension of disbelief? That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
In everything. So here's the thing. If you're not familiar with Christianity in the Bible, Sophie is so potently a biblical symbolism of that kind of faith. Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 18, verses 2 through 5. And Jesus called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. It is also very interesting to me the immediate next verse. And some contextual imagery here. One of the first things we see Calabar, who I am going to somewhat prematurely call the false prophet, one of the first things we see him do is disrespect Sophie by getting her name wrong constantly, in spite of how much she protests.
Oh my god.
Now, you would think that is just a little joke. I assure you, that is not a joke. That is entirely intentional. The writers meant this 100%. Because literally the very next verse, Matthew chapter 18, verse 6, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
Damn! Fuck! Calabar, you're the Antichrist. Oh no!
He's literally the Antichrist.
That's fuck. Jesus.
So Sophie is a powerful, like, Christian child. Sophie is just the quintessential example of a child who believes in God and believes in her own beliefs so much that anything can happen.
Yeah. Fuck. Jesus. Yeah. No, that's really
and
good.
she is literally the role model for everyone else to aspire to.
She whenever anybody can't solve something, Sophie solves it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's the one who remembers the incantation. You know, she's the one who fucking solves the padlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She recalls prayer by turning it into songs.
Fuck. Ah! Oh my god. Fuck. That's so funny.
When they are in need and they cannot remember the incantation, she's the one who first starts speaking in tongues.
Fuck. Oh. She is dude. It's
it's so important. I need you to understand how important
it makes
this
so
is.
much sense. It does. No, it makes so much sense.
Yeah. There's also the scene with Aggie and Marnie. Oh shit, actually more importantly, the bedtime story. I think it is so important that in this key moment of trying to appeal to the children and get them to believe in Halloweentown, she says, I didn't make it up. I read about it in a book, so maybe it's real. And she pulls out the book of Halloweentown, a book we never see again, by the way. It is literally a book that is single-handedly meant to be used as like a document to give legitimacy to the idea that Halloweentown is real and all this stuff can happen.
I do
it
like
is literally the Bible
in
of
this Christian
like belief system.
In this Christian lens, I do like the phrase "the Book of Halloweentown." I do.
Yeah. Me too. Now, the scene in the kitchen, you and I both caught on to just like the rancid vibes.
Yeah,
in that
awful.
scene,
it was awful.
It is quite literally a Christian mother like badgering her child about like coming back to the faith after she has left it.
I would challenge a viewer to watch this scene and not feel that instinctually.
And like we talked, like it's the way it's like a realistic adult conversation about like denying her upbringing.
Yeah,
and like
traditions that she's
the grandma is like
on.
actively using like just direct manipulation in the same way you would see any like Christian grandma use, you know?
Uh-huh.
Now, here's that scene specifically is where I mentioned I locked in on just because it's the feeling.
Because that's the scene. That is the scene. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is the scene, and that is why I'm saying like my theory is all like vibes based, because from that scene onward, you can paint the entire movie in this lens, and it works.
Yeah, it straight up just works the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm just going down the list here.
Sure.
Luke the local punk.
Huh.
Not really a huge part of my my theory overall, but I thought it was really interesting the way that the skeleton kind of talks about him. Like, he's still in their community, but he's ostracized because he kind of like hangs out with people that they don't really like, and he hangs out with the shadow creature who gave him a nose job. Oh, and next you'll be telling me he got a tattoo from his punk friends before the church Christmas play, right? Like this is the quintessential like rebellious kid in a church environment who's like, he's hanging out with the wrong people. So they're literally telling the new like converted children, you know, don't hang out around this guy. He's trouble. You know, he hangs out with all these people. He like modified his body. Like, it's the symbolism continued.
Is there anything
For me there.
Is there anything with like the Book of Luke and like the biblical Luke?
No, I looked it up.
damn.
I specifically looked up the disciple who denied Jesus 3 times, and it was Peter. And I said, "Fuck." Oh man.
damn.
All right. Well, let's catch up on the flip side then.
Yeah,
I only did that today though, so maybe there was just something I didn't have time to find.
Hey, get in the comments.
Spells are much more powerful. Prayers are much more powerful when more than one Let me try saying that again. Spells, aka prayers, are notably much more powerful when more than one witch, aka member of the church, joins in.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the history of Halloweentown just yet because I feel like that is very important.
I'll get into
this,
it.
probably.
I'll get into this.
Okay,
Don't-
so
don't you worry.
just know it's like, again, it's all about like just the culture. It doesn't really play into like the sort of evangelical part of it for me.
Yeah.
Like emotionally, but that's the thing about being raised evangelical is that you end up in this situation where you have like the emotional side of the experience, and then you have like the kind of historical context of everything.
Yeah.
And you kind of live in this environment where you have to force your mind to separate the two, even though they are not separated.
Yeah,
Because the more you learn about history, the more you learn about recorded events, what actually has happened in the world, the more you learn about science and like just the people around you, your environment, your culture, your town, the more whatever's going on emotionally starts to make less and less sense.
I'm saying this also as somebody who grew up in a religious household. That feeling as a child, when you started realizing the fun club that you go to every Sunday, where you eat yummy fishy crackers and play games while your parents go off and do whatever the fuck they're doing in the other rooms of that building. When you start to realize, I think all these people are making stuff up. It can be very disillusioning. It can be a very weird feeling as a child to consciously register all the adults around you are lying to each other. That's a very cynical way to phrase it, and so I'd like to consciously acknowledge that that's not. It is very specifically in the sort of environments of like the evangelical church or the Mormon church where these sort of things. And I would hesitate to go out and talk about somebody else's faith, but for my faith, the church that I grew up in, I can tell you those adults were fucking lying to each other, and and as a kid, that feels weird and bad in a way that you can't really comprehend. It's a bad feeling.
You pick up on a lot of just like a lot of contrivances and conveniences that need to happen in order for that culture to continue. You pick up on a lot of the compromises that are made the older you get and the more you start to pay attention. And it's really disturbing.
Yeah.
By the way, I am so sad. I skipped over my favorite note of the entire notes page. It was really early on. I meant to talk about it after I was done talking about the individual characters and how they play into the structure. I described this to you as the most deranged note I've ever written.
oh yeah. I want to hear this so bad.
So Marnie is sort of arguing with Mom about her not letting them go out for Halloween. And she's sort of playing it up as the angle of like, oh, you don't let us do anything. Like we can't do anything. We're stuck at home. And she says, you're protecting us from being anything but a bunch of vegetables. And I think that is curious. It's curious that she would use vegetables as an analogy here.
Is that?
It calls to mind the classic evangelical animated franchise VeggieTales.
Oh my god.
But I hear you asking. In that case, why would being vegetables be a bad thing? Don't the vegetables in that show love God?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Actually,
you would be correct. You would be correct. You'd be correct in a sense. But it is a little known fact that in actuality, though the veggies love and worship God, when VeggieTales creator Phil Vischer was first pitching the idea of the show to his mother, she gave him her blessing to produce it on a certain series of conditions. One of those conditions being that the vegetables in VeggieTales cannot receive salvation or imply that they are capable of receiving salvation.
What?
That's true. This is true.
Why?
Because it's like blasphemous.
Because
God because they're not like God's living beings.
They're not in God's
children.
image. Yeah, I guess
there also was a stipulation that they could not represent Jesus as a vegetable, which I think makes a little more sense.
That one makes a little bit. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like Larry the Cucumber should have gotten into heaven. I don't know.
Me too. But when you think about it from that angle, by forcing the children to be vegetables, the mother is hiding the children away from God's greatest gift to humanity, which I think is really important for just the overall, like, it's subconscious. It's subconscious symbolism. It's what these filmmakers are doing intentionally to try and like kind of like subvert, you know, your programming.
And they and let's be honest, they did do that on purpose. They did include
they did all
the
of this on
VeggieTales
purpose.
reference to the mom of VeggieTales creator Josh Jarlin saying that heaven can't get into vegetables or whatever.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose. They referenced that.
I really want to talk about Calabar.
Tell me all about Calabar. I want to hear it, please.
Calabar is the pastor.
Oh, I knew it.
I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree?
Not. I think. Extrapolate.
I think Calabar could be representative of a pastor, and I think specifically earlier I called him the false prophet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Calabar could be representative of. I wrote this down somewhere. Hold on.
Sure.
The Calabar could be representative of a pastor, who is sort of like born into the church and is raised in the church and is specifically raised as a pastor's son, and is sort of like, you know, just brought up in that environment.
I get that.
It's just it's just a title, he says. It's just a title.
He does kind
it's
of like have youth pastor vibes about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he treats it with such like frivolity. But he does say he has big plans for the congregation, right?
That's true.
I think that, and ultimately, he is a false prophet because we learn that his plan for the church is to make them more worldly, is to bring the congregation into the mortal world where the humans are, and to sort of like deny them the isolation of Halloweentown and of their own sort of culture.
Oh man.
I've written down the villain actually doesn't have, or he wants to be in the world. He's a pastor who is being swayed by worldly desires. To live in the world is to live in sin, after all. And I wrote down 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. Do not love the world or things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever. Abides forever, you say. Interesting, because we know that time in Halloweentown moves at a slower pace than the human world, and that the citizens there live for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and even more so, ghosts. The very spirits of the dead who would otherwise pass on unseen are clearly visible and take part in that society. There is no real death in Halloweentown. The only analog to death we see is the corruption that the citizens face in the movie theater at the hands of Calabar. By the way, the movie theater I find a very particular choice of symbolism.
Oh, me too. Oh, I'm so glad.
I'm so glad we picked up on this, because the movie theater, so kids, if you don't know, this is not true everywhere, but in many evangelical congregations, for years, I think since like the 20s or whatever, movie theaters have been known as like a place of sin, a place of worldliness. I assume because the kids be kissing in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, also because think of all the horrible lessons that they can learn from the violence.
Right, exactly. It's a dark room where you see the world projected in front of you, and you see all of their values.
Yeah.
And
Satan.
this cannot stand, right? So, I'm. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Me personally, growing up, I was not allowed to go to the movie theater.
Oh my God.
Until like late into my childhood.
Damn.
Like literally mid-teens.
I didn't know
we kind of
this piece of penny lore.
Yeah, no, like and to be fair, my parents and like my dad in particular kind of skirted around it sometimes because like it's an old rule. It's just been in the church since it was like made, and our church specifically was like there for a long time. Like even like it like moved buildings. It was like a super old like congregation. The lineage was like there was a lot of history there.
One of them historical lineages.
Yeah. So anyway, I was not allowed to go to the movie theater for a long time because it was seen as like this like worldly place, this evil place. Because like living in the world is living in sin. So the movie theater was like sinful.
Wow.
You know? So if
honestly,
you wanted to like do anything in the church, if you were like a choir member or like a music player, you like worked the cameras or whatever, like you could not go to the movie theater. They literally had a contract that you signed
wow.
yeah, you were contractually and like I guess like I don't know, legally whatever, obligated, or at least like there would be like actual real punishment
That's
if you went to the movie theater.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we didn't go like very often at all, and then only later when like my parents got divorced. it's the lore,
Right.
I guess.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of like started moving around different churches and stuff. Only then did we kind of loosen up, just because like either the congregation we went to didn't really care that much, or it was just like it was a tough time.
But
we
even
were just kinda
still,
doing whatever.
because the movie came out in 1998, so like it was still definitely hard in effect at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that Calabar, the false prophet, his entire plan quite literally revolved around bringing the good people of Halloweentown to the movie theater and making them like nasty and mean and like unrecognizable, and then freezing them in this like symbol of worldly
Freezing them in time.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very potent imagery. Yeah.
He brings them to the movie theater and he doesn't kill them. He freezes them a spiritual death.
Oh
They're not dead.
no.
They can still go, but they are frozen exactly as they are until Calabar, the false prophet, needs them.
What a scary, sad movie it is when viewed through this lens.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noted that, speaking of, I noted that earlier, you and I both kind of latched on to the phrase of neighbors suddenly becoming mean and hateful and then disappearing altogether,
Mhm.
which to me reads as like actually a very modern kind of sentiment. To me, that reads as like a
Honestly,
deconstruction allegory.
Uh-huh.
Like, because like more and more people are kind of like leaving the church, leaving evangelicalism as culture progresses and as we move forward. And like, yeah, sure, there's like a big like movement of pushback, but like at the same time, gradually more people are like deconstructing. That's like been a big movement in recent years. And I know personally, because I was, following that for like, I mean, God, like one of my pieces of music was like all about that. Right. So,
Right. And when people tend to do that, when they tend to step away from the church and sort of re-examine it, what they do is they tend a lot of the time to become like hostile towards the church, because when they're in this process of deconstruction, they're learning all of these things that they do not like, and so they somebody from the church who's still part of the church, who might have talked to somebody after this deconstruction, might see them as hateful or like misunderstand, like legitimately they might see them as a hate. They might describe them as having become hateful.
Yeah, it's there's a word for it. I'm trying to think. It's not Pharisee. It's God, that's really gonna apostate. That's what it's called.
Apostate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is that's like how you would describe like an apostate.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like it's someone who just all of a sudden, became very standoffish. They became very hateful. They became very intolerant of our beliefs, and then they just disappeared. We don't see them anymore. Where are they? We love them and miss them so much.
Oh, the darkness took them away.
Yeah. So the fact that and then the place that these people being described in this way are ultimately going to is the movie theater. God, that really like stuck out to me when I was watching this.
It seems so obvious in hindsight, that the place of public broadcast has become the allegory, the evil villain's lair, the place of evil. Yeah.
And on that note, oh, by the way, I wanted to bring up Gwen. We mentioned that she is potentially maybe clamming up about Halloweentown because she has like some trauma,
right.
Regarding it, which is maybe why she wanted to leave. And I want to talk about that for a second, actually,
sure,
in a little bit more like back and forth. But what I wrote down earlier in like a flash of inspiration was like, she was dating Calabar, who in my sort of framing of this is the current like pastor of this congregation. Right. And I personally believe like, it is very likely he maybe was brought up in that and was potentially a pastor's son, like a mayor's son.
Damn.
And thus, like maybe the previous mayor, the previous pastor of that congregation saw that Gwen was like waning in her belief and didn't like approve the relationship, because they don't really talk about why they broke up, do they?
No, the only thing is that he says you Cromwells are impossible.
Yeah, you Cromwells are impossible. And he says, like, you used to love this magic stuff. Did you forget that? But we get no more than that. So I wonder if maybe he was like trying to like really solidify her belief in God and in their congregation, but she was deconstructing. She was waning. She didn't truly believe. She didn't want that.
That feels so yucky to think about.
Yeah, and so they had to break up, because like as much as I'm sure Calabar maybe had patience at the time because he seems nice enough,
right?
You know, he ultimately, you know, was under his. I've made up this father character who I'm telling you was there. He was there. He was the pastor's child, and
he was there. I remember
the pastor at the time made them break up, and then the stewing sort of anger of that, he says, I couldn't be with Gwen because she was worldly. Why is that? Why can't we be with people who are worldly? Why can't we be in the world? I'm going to change this. It explains everything.
It's like a straight version of Doomed Yuri. It's where where these two people you know, sort of separate from each other. They came together, and their separation was so violent and powerful in their own lives that they drastically changed the courses of both of their lives. For I mean, according to the movie, for the worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Though the difference between Gwen and Calabar is that Gwen was only beginning down the path of darkness, whereas Calabar had already reached the end of it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I do want to talk about Gwen.
Okay.
The movie really, I'm literally just reading this off. The movie really refuses to give the mom's motivation for leaving Halloween much weight aside from just she met a moral man she loved. Which is insane, because that is literally such a huge evangelical talking point, and why in the environment I grew up in, love and marriage was made into such a go through the pastor for approval / guidance kind of thing. But she's never given a chance to like explain what it was about the culture that rubbed against her, other than she wants to be normal. Yeah. The movie never like truly concedes that she was right to keep her kids from that culture for her own reasons. She once again fully buys into training her children to be witches at the end. She has been completely reconverted. The only thing they learn about Halloweentown is that it is capable of corruption. But of course, none of that corruption could be within the very foundation of its structure. Why would it?
I have so much.
I'm almost done with like my notes here, and then no, I can let you.
Totally. It's specifically just the way they portray Gwen is. Just
it's so frustrating.
Potently frustrating.
Because she doesn't get the chance to believe in anything else.
She is.
And oh my god, I just pissed myself off by saying that.
Oh my god.
Because literally that is what the framing is of like people who are not in the church. It's not that you are taught to believe one thing, but then you have your belief somewhere else. You find belief in something else. It is you believe, and then you have a lack of belief. Worldly, like secular environments and people are framed as having a lack of something in an evangelical environment, which is why there is such this like this culture of like, we need to bring people in. We need to give them the thing that they know they lack, but they won't admit it. This has turned into a deconstruction podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's literally
right. Here's the thing: is that not a single thing you've said is wrong, or everything that you saw and that you're describing, I saw. I fucking saw everything that you're describing, and I saw it play out the way that you're describing it.
So, I think, and I guess this will be my final note, unless I remember something later, and I can maybe chime in as you're going along yours. And I'll let you just like rattle on, because I feel like I've been reading a lot of paragraphs that I wrote down, and I thank you for being so gracious to let me do so.
It's all connecting. Yeah.
I think it's very interesting how the theater is used as a layer for evil until the light, this little light of mine, candle, I'm gonna let it shine.
Oh my god.
Until the light of the Lord's children is able to pierce the veil, pierce the purple evil portal in the theater, and use the devil's own tools to show his glory and guide the lost sheep back to his holy embrace. God's Not Dead 5 in theaters soon.
Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. That little fucking I'm gonna let it shine bit at the end fucking pissed me off.
I mean, it's all there. I didn't make this up. This was intentional. This is there in the movie. You can see
They
it.
wrote the Veggie Tales. Mom know about God can't get into heaven. Vegetables can't get into Larry the Cucumber. Fuck you. It's all there in black and white, clear as day. You lose.
Okay. Please, I need you to start talking about your thing because I'm
Sure.
so tired.
Well, all good. No worries. Hey, Penny. So there was a very... Oh, yeah?
I'm so sorry. Really quick, just my last note. I thought
Sure.
it's so funny. The reason why I noted that it doesn't seem like it's a spell at the end of the movie is because I didn't hear them saying the incantation first, and the imagery of them ultimately defeating Calabar by holding hands and singing praises to him, like, was very potent for me. Anyway, please.
So it's... Penny, it's... I'm wondering why you would call the hymn "Hominis Super Contiteror" a prayer. Why would you draw that that actual prayer that was written in the 6th century by Pope Gregory the Great? I'm wondering why you would call that a prayer. Yeah.
It's because it feels like one. It was the feeling.
Because it is. It's in Latin.
Is.
Okay, hey, so this is, before we get ahead of ourselves, it's important to establish there was one major part of your theory that you missed. Which is that the entire world does take place in the same universe as Wizards of Waverly Place. So that's kind of an important part of the lore that you seem to have missed in your analysis.
I completely missed that.
And now
Expand, please.
Well, I'm so happy that you asked me to, because I've got 5 points that fully connect the two. So, for example, one.
Was this your first thread?
This is the first half of what I have to talk about. The components of the spells are the same, primarily verbal, sometimes a conduit to cast through, and as well as a material power source to supply it.
Oh my God.
Seen in Halloweentown is Aggie's potion, which she pours into Merlin's relic. Seen in Waverly Place is a magical fuse box. It's implied that the separation from physical materials necessary for casting magic is a manufactured process, and magic is not latently drawn out of the surrounding atmosphere. 2. Only extremely powerful wizards and witches are able to cast spells without a wand. The only people we see casting magic in the entire movie are the Cromwell family as well as Calabar. Everyone else in the magical world is seen using magical manual analog technology. People, despite there being a broom salesman, people don't fly around on brooms. They ride around in taxis and take the bus. 3. Wizardry is seen as something which is born innately into wizard children, but will be taken away from any who do not complete their training. For any for an average wizarding family, that means the siblings must compete in the wizard competition so that one person from their family can go into adulthood with their full magical power. Aristocratic families, on the other hand, are given special privileges.
The Cromwells are they're important people in this movie. They're known
4. Magic typically requires a rhyming verbal component. The spell...
Wastrel youth of benighted hours, be thee vanquished by my powers!
That's what I'm fucking saying! The spells conjured with this magic can almost be anything the caster wants, so long as their visualization is clear and their focus is kept. That lack of can be demonstrated in episode 1 in Wizards of Waverly Place, where Justin duplicates a rabbit, but he was thinking of a dog, so the rabbit barks. This is seen in Halloweentown, as Gwen is casting the spell of vanquishment on Luke, but due to lack of concentration, likely subconsciously resisting the urge to kill a child, she covers Luke in flowers.
Oh my God.
5, and this is the last one.
Holy
the
shit.
lore for the wizarding world is exactly the same as how Aggie describes the lore for Halloweentown.
No way.
Humans and magic creatures lived side by side up until the middle of the last millennia, where humans started persecuting them for their differences, forcing the wizards to create a separate world for them and magical creatures to live. That's exactly as it's described in Wizards of Waverly Place as well. So, with those 5 establishing things, I think it's pretty safe to assume this Disney magical world of wizards is the same universe as Wizards of Waverly Place. That is the first establishing part of my theory. So check it out. I need to tell you about some real-world history real quick.
Please, yeah.
The Cromwell aristocratic family is a historically significant lineage with records as far back as the 1300s, when Richard Williams, whose alias was and family name would go on to be Cromwell, who was a Welsh soldier, was knighted by Henry VIII. This was not the first time being involved in the affairs of the royal court. In fact, their family had been well involved in the affairs of the higher-ups in the Catholic Church since the 6th century. Aggie Cromwell, whose name was unknown at the time. We don't know if she was called Aggie Cromwell. But she worked with the wizard of the ancient king's court, Merlin, as well as Pope St. Gregory the Great. At the time, a group of fanatical Catholic wizards worked closely with the church to bring into existence a physical, tangible version of purgatory, which they would be able to control mortally. It's also implied that they had an analogous version of hell that they created. The purpose of this pocket dimension was to ensure that the church could oversee the full temporal punishment that the church deemed fit for the souls before they were executed fully and released. Throughout the centuries, those deemed to be sinners or otherwise problematic towards the affairs of the church were judged, and whose souls would be, their souls would be forcibly taken to this place. This is why, when walking the streets of Halloweentown, you're liable to see ladies in modern attire walking side by side with pirates, 50s milkmen, medieval knights, 18th century royal guards, and many more. These people, plucked from their lives and put in a space where time works different, they're meant to spend conscious eons living in purgatory before they're allowed to move on. At the time At the time of the Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Church was under heavy criticism with the Protestant Reformation. That makes sense, Scout. You just wrote that down a second ago, so sorry. Just a little bit of redundancy.
That's fine.
During the time, the wizards of the Catholic Order went into hiding, the Cromwells being tasked with keeping the whole of Halloweentown, their purgatory, in check. To aid them with this task, Richard William now we're getting back into real-world history, by the way. Richard Williams, who was like the first person of the Cromwell family line, was put in charge of the dissolution of monasteries. This was a military effort put forward by William VIII in the 1300s, middle of last millennia, where he was assigned with the redistribution of various religious houses' resources. You know, he was a visitor. In reality, these funds were being liquidated and funneled back into the Cromwell estate, securing their capacity to look after Halloweentown for generations. In essence, it became a small, eternal fiefdom for their family to rule over however they saw fit. For the past several centuries, their family has been the sole keepers of this place, maintaining the imprisonment of the souls of unfortunate enough to have been deemed sinful by the standards of the medieval church, forgotten to time, but not forgotten by the clergy.
Aggie is like fucking well off. We see that.
Oh yeah.
Not because like not only are like the Cromwells like reinforced as like important people, she lives in a goddamn mansion. She's got like a gate out front. Her house is huge.
She's able to buy the nicest, best broom immediately for her granddaughter.
Immediately, like not even on credit.
So this is because everyone in Halloweentown fears her. Because she has been the keeper of this dominion since the 6th century, when it was first established. So let's think about this real quick. Let's think about the established magic system that we've had, this rhyming verbal component, which is it's shown a lot in Wizards of Waverly Place, where it's just like if you can think of a rhyme and you can focus enough, then you can create it. You can
make
cast
them
a spell. Yeah. What? Oh man, a great way to get a lot of people chanting the same rhyme is to publish it as a hymn. So what I would like to propose to you is that in the 6th century, through the usage of these hymns as a way to enact the verbal component of a spell, they willed into existence this Catholic dimension, this perfect world that was meant to contain the souls of those who went against the church. This is oh my god, I can now talk about it. Oh, Penny. So
I'm so excited.
Do you remember the chant that they did in the to make the light turn on, that thing?
Oh, you mean the one that Sophie innately knew to turn into a song?
Yeah, so that was from the Black Book of Carmarthen from the 13th century.
Interesting.
So okay. I'm gonna start going down my list in chronological order, just so I make sure that I fucking miss nothing. First of all, and this is I think it's crazy that neither of us have brought this up so far. In the shot where the bus is coming down, it's pitch black. The sky is black, no stars, no nothing. You can see the ground is sort of lit, and you can see some trees off to the side. Other than that, the sky, which takes up most of the frame, is pitch black, except in the middle of the frame, just to the right, in the pitch black sky, there is a cross which is lit prominently on top of the church.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, Penny.
No fucking way.
It is so.
The first shot of the movie is like of a church?
No. Specifically of
Of the
grandma,
bus.
the grandma
Oh
arriving.
my god, still.
Yeah, no, I'm going to straight up.
There is church imagery in her arrival shot. You're
I-
not making that up, right?
I'm now going to send you a screenshot. This is the shot where she is arriving.
And that's the center of the frame.
That's the center of
Holy
the frame.
shit!
Pitch black sky taking up more than half the frame. Everything is in a nice orange color in the foreground, and then in the background, separating itself directly, is this big lit cross in the middle, like standing on top of a
Okay,
church.
chat.
Chat.
I am. You, if you have not seen this movie, you need to look at this right the fuck now. We are not.
We're not making it up. This is real.
Center of the frame, there is a church steeple with a cross lit differently from the rest of the environment. I do not know how we missed this.
I didn't.
Oh, I mean, I don't know how I missed this. Yeah, I should say.
So this is fucking okay. Hang on, I'm just gonna go down my list because I wrote down a lot. Like I said, good thing she doesn't like liver. Would she have killed the mom? Sophie seems to be incredibly powerful. This is something that's also in the Wizards of Waverly Place universe, where only incredibly powerful wizards can do magic without enchanting first. Doing a spell. Incanting. That's the word. Alex Russo is one of the only people in Wizards of Waverly Place who can do it. She's like the main character. She's said to be like one of the most powerful wizards of the generation, and even she finds it incredibly difficult. So the fact that Sophie's able to do it, but I mean, it makes sense because she's literally part of a royal, like an aristocratic bloodline of wizards. Being normal is vastly overrated, said the aristocrat to the mom who's trying to break away from it. The dichotomy between the family's traditions and modern beliefs really, to me, reads like the mom just doesn't want to be part of this world anymore. She does not like that this is what her family's tasked with. She doesn't like that's where she came from. She doesn't like that estate. She doesn't want to be part of it. Let's see. What is
So I think that my theory about her sort of relationship with Calabar kind of fits neatly into this as more of like a shade of that trauma. If we're putting this, if we're like trying to mash these together.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Yeah.
I think that, well, okay, hang on, sorry. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
No, you're good.
What does Aggie mean when she say people began acting hateful towards her? Like, well, I wonder what that could mean. I wonder why people in particular would be getting nasty towards Grandma Aggie, the sort of overseer of Halloween. I don't know. Whatever. Who's to say? Yeah. So she really, really does not like the mortal world. Again, she says it like she is straight up like racist towards humans. She's not seen interacting with humans a single time in the entire movie. Whenever humans are brought up, she talks about them with disdain, disgust. She
fucking hates mortals, which is all the more insane that she elects to live with them later.
Yeah, no,
and you have to think that's like conquest,
right?
She's like
I think it's more than that, but we'll get there when we get there. It's not like the old days, traditionalism in Halloweentown. There's just a whole lot of traditionalism, and I think that's some of the more upper layers of it. And I think that on a more realistic level, it definitely is Christian propaganda, but I think it reads so much more interestingly as anti-Christian propaganda.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I do think that Halloweentown is a pocket dimension at the center of time, because I do think that's the only way they would be able to make time all fucky wucky like that. And the scene where they're in space, with all the flashing clouds and when they're in the bus, right? That does read very much not as magic to me. That does read like interdimensional, like that's a physics-based activity that they're engaging in. They're going through a physical space to another physical space, maybe not one that we could access with the technologies that we have, because we can't traverse the fourth dimension, time, as you know.
Right.
I mean, maybe you can. I can't.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, like I've been toying around, but
we'll figure it out later. Don't worry about that. We'll pay attention in next week's episode.
Next week's episode.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it. I mean, we have been saying last episode was last week, so I mean, and we're not lying, so we wouldn't lie to you.
Hey, it all comes together.
Yay! Yeah, see, Mount Molehill. You said we couldn't make up a fucking plot.
We're so fucking back.
We're so fucking back. So the first shot in Halloweentown when they get there is City Hall. The first person we see is a police officer. There's the only thing that people talk about in Halloweentown, or the only job that they have the majority of the jobs that they have, it's either domestic, so they're like fucking cutting hair or whatever, or they're working for the local government, right? Because we see policemen, we see a bunch of people constantly talking about local bureaucracy. We see a lot of people talking about like City Hall. And these are just like, these aren't specifically plot-based conversations. These are just like conversations that we hear as we're walking through Halloweentown at various scenes. As people talking about like, oh yeah, did you hear what the mayor is doing and stuff like that. It kind of puts into perspective just how important the people in charge of Halloweentown are for not just like, I mean, obviously the people in charge are going to be important, but like for the literal culture of the place that they're in. It's like they have to pay attention to the people in charge. They can't.
Well, it's the mayor's job to know everyone.
Yeah, well, so the mayor, but also everybody knows Aggie Cromwell.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Aggie Cromwell, you know? This is a level of respect, reverence, you know, towards the Cromwells that I find almost unnatural. I find it to be, I think it really renders itself in more of a fear. I think it paints itself as more of an inherent fear
and the town, I mean, the larger you imagine the town, the more kind of like unsettling it becomes.
Yeah. And I mean, really, I mean, this all goes back to this idea that these people have been here for centuries, which isn't even like, that's not even conjecture. That is just, they say.
And they haven't just been there for centuries culturally. Many of them have been there living for centuries.
Yes.
And you have to imagine if their population is growing, but this is like a world without death, like that's a pretty huge amount of people who are all knowing and reverent towards the Cromwells.
Check it out, though. I don't necessarily think this is a world that is free of death, because at the spa there was a sign on the wall that specifically said "No death guard on duty."
True.
To me, that implies that the thing that they are protecting, a death guard, would in fact be protecting the person who died and was sent to purgatory, that death which they have secured for themselves. The death guard would be there to prevent them from moving on from past purgatory.
Holy shit.
I do think that there is. There's also, I mean, in that next scene, as long as we're talking about the spa, there's the guy who said, hey, this is nothing compared to Hades. This is the guy who in purgatory.
Right.
For those who don't know, purgatory is a place in Catholicism where souls are sent before they are fully pure, where they have to live out a temporal punishment. They have a horrible, painful ordeal that they have to go to before they are fully pure. These are people who are walking with Christ but still had worldly desires, right? So the idea is that you're not fully pure when you're in purgatory. This is where you go to become pure before they send you off. So this sort of idea of I mean, he says, you know, this was nothing compared to Hades. That is sort of reinforcing this idea of penance and being punished and you know, there's also a lot of talk about passing on, the after you can catch me in the next life, you know, shit like that. There's a lot of people who are talking about the life after this one, even though they're in Halloweentown, which is ostensibly the immortal world, because they always refer to the mortal world as the mortal world.
To be fair, though, are they talking like that amongst themselves, or are those happening mostly within the context of speaking to the Cromwells, the children who have yet to pass?
Well, I wonder about that. I do wonder about that. That is a good question. But that would sort of imply that Halloweentown then is the after, like they just go there when they die anyway. So I mean,
it's tricky.
It is tricky. It's very tricky. Though ultimately, I do think that this is a place of how do I phrase this? It's difficult to put all these pieces together because we have like such a big we dumped like 5 different jigsaw puzzles on the table, and we're all trying to fit them together into something that we think the picture should look like. And it can be kind of tough to fit them together sometimes. I do think, though, I can now talk about the book that they were reading out of. So she says in the scene,
the book of Halloween.
Yeah. No. Excuse me. Wow, I really am all over the place, aren't I?
You're good.
So this is going back to the scene in Grandma's kitchen where they're making the sort of brew, right? And she says, "Oh, I shouldn't have made instant."
That book.
Yeah, so she specifically says she picked up the ability to seal the sources, the forces of evil in the 6th century. But then she goes on to read a 13th century manuscript from the Black Book of Carmarthen, which is it's a manuscript assembled by a Welsh. I think he was a reliquary. But so it was all these sort of religious scripts, and they were all translated into Welsh. So when she said she picked it up in the 6th century, she then recited something from the 13th century. But I think that's because that wasn't the spell that she was using to seal the forces of darkness. It was just to see if the thing was working, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So I also think there's something to do there with how potent magical energy is when it's made. Oh my god, I didn't even touch on this. This is so important. So you know how I said nobody in Halloweentown fucking uses magic?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like that is just the case. The only people who use Halloweentown magic are I think I'm getting too scared of myself, and I'm just like rushing.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm so okay.
I'm loving it. I'm just intently listening.
I think that I maybe was not as organized with my thoughts as I thought I was, and so
that's fine. Me neither.
Yeah,
My entire section, I was fucking scrolling like a mad woman.
No, I'm literally doing the exact same thing. I'm like sweating, looking at my notes, like, oh my god, I gotta get back on. I gotta get back on topic.
It's okay. Once it's edited, you're gonna sound so smart.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be fantastic.
The bitches are gonna love this one. Okay, so I believe that the people of Halloweentown are unable to use magic specifically because it would enable them to escape, right? Calabar's whole thing is that he's trying to create this big jailbreak because he is fully aware, he is cognizant of the fact that what they are in is a place of punishment, right? This is
right.
And I think that perhaps he was because he's it's established that he's part of it, right? He's part of the magical lineage. It's entirely possible that he was maybe brought in by the Cromwells to help manage the estate, and sort of he was brought on as like a contractor to keep the place running while they're away. I do think that left to his own devices, he wasn't able to do much because ultimately, while he was the person in charge of the people, he was not in charge of the dimension. He didn't have a power over Halloweentown itself. He had to build that. He had to create that power over time using his many machinations. Whereas Aggie is able to immediately sort of fulfill this material prerequisite that you need to cast magic, which is the brew that she makes, right? And which again is analogous very much to the magical fuse boxes in Wizards of Waverly Place, just in case you forgot about that.
I have not forgotten.
Good.
How could I? How could one forget?
And so what I believe to be the case, or what I believe to be the truth, is that the Merlin's staff is sort of a conduit, right? It's one of the few things that you can use to channel magical energy throughout the entirety of the movie. And this is, I mean, that's another thing in Wizards of Waverly Place. It's said that wizards use wands because it more clearly channels the magic. It makes it cast better or more powerfully or more focused or whatever. And so when we see them fighting over this specific thing, it's not like they're fighting specifically for the relic itself. It's more they're fighting over a battery, because the battery is what allows them to have the power in this place that is devoid of magic, because it's a magical prison, right?
Right.
And so I believe it's terrifying at the very end of the movie when they all come together and they all start saying the 6th century prayer. Because it does feel as though they are like accessing the admin rights of this world that they are in.
Motherfuckers turn on SV cheats.
Yeah, right. And they just they start saying a prayer. I would also like to actually read you what the prayer that they're reading is.
Please, yeah. I was kind of hoping for that.
Yeah. So the first one they were reading, the 6th century one, the one that didn't really necessarily work. That was actually a Welsh poem of many Welsh heroes. They're not necessarily like saintly figures, right? But they're heroes from the past. I believe that the reason she was so dissatisfied with it, I think there was some symbolism in her saying, "Oh, you shouldn't go with instant." I think that she was maybe saying like, "Oh, you should never rely on mortals for what what the Lord can really do," because later on, they I don't know if I'm saying this right because it's Latin, but hominis supern conditor is what they start chanting at the very end of the movie when they seal Calabar. The part where they specifically read off is repelle quod cupindis quiente vi nos impentit aut moribus se suguret, which is, it literally just means, from all thy servants drive away whatever though impure whatever thought impure today hath been with open action bent or mingled with heart's intent, maker of man, who from thy throne dost order all things, God alone, by whose decree the teeming earth to reptile and beast gave birth, the might forms that fill the land. I'm now reading the entire prayer, but the might
Please.
forms that fill the land, instinct with life at thy command, are given subdued to mankind for service in their rank assigned. From all thy servants drive away whate'er of thought impure today hath been with open action blent or mingled with the heart's intent. In heaven thine endless joys bestow, and grant thy gifts of grace below. From chains of strife our souls release, bind fast the gentle hands of peace. Grant this, O Father, ever one with Christ, thy sole begotten Son, whom with the Spirit we adore, one God, both now and evermore.
Holy.
That was written.
I mean, literally.
That was written
Holy.
by Saint. Yeah, literally. Pope Saint Gregory the Great, who lived in the years 540 to 604, just right in time in the 6th century, where also, by the way, where all of Merlin's stuff and King Arthur's stuff, all of his stories were mostly written in the 13th century, but they were written of somebody from like the 3rd to the 8th century, I believe, which puts them exactly right in time for Pope St. Gregory the Great to have bestowed upon them, or perhaps for them to have written this spell for St. Gregory the Great to publish as a hymn in the 6th century, where she says she picked it up from Merlin.
Oh my God.
So, like, there is kind of no way to debate that she has been in fucking works with the Catholic Church for literally over 1,000 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I this is kind of all bringing me back to the very end. This is, I think, actually where I wrote my first, like, the point in the movie where I finally put it all together was when they started fucking singing the 6th century hymn. It was written by a pope, but during the same time period was Merlin was in, meaning the exact right time for Aggie to convene with him, with the pope to craft the spell, which the pope would have taken credit for and published as to be used by humans as a hymn. Current theory, this is when it all came together. In the Wizards of Waverly Place universe, powerful and delusional Catholic witches created a warped pocket dimension purgatory to trap sinners in throughout repeated usage of scripture and hymn as their choice of rhyming spell to manifest distinctly Catholic magic. The reveal is that it's magic, but then it's actually heaven. This is the thing, is you were talking about it because that's like you were literally.
Wait, okay.
When at the very end, at the magical theater, when the light is coming through, it specifically looks like heavenly light coming
It
through.
literally is like the light of God, like shining through the theater.
And so at the first you think it's magic, right? But then the reveal halfway through the movie is that, oh wait, it's actually a religion. But then when you put all the pieces together, no, it's actually just magic again. The Cromwells, an aristocratic family, are guardians tasked with keeping this purgatory sealed from outside forces who might wish to destroy it. This goes back to the 6th century when Aggie colluded with Merlin, the wizard of the King's Court, to first manifest this world using Welsh hymns. Gwen wanted to escape this cult and wanted her children to have a normal life, but was ultimately drawn back in by her grandma, using the children against her as leverage. I believe that in the theater, after they were frozen, he said himself, they are all still conscious. They're not dead. They're just frozen in time. I believe that Gwen, trapped for however long, time works differently in Halloweentown, with her grandmother in that theater, became trauma bonded. I think that she was traumatized and I could not imagine losing her grandma again. And so at the end, after they wake back up,
Oh my
she's
God.
so suddenly fully on board with magic. She didn't need to be convinced of anything. She doesn't even chastise her kids for going against her. She apologizes for having ever gone against what she said, no, I'm sorry. I should have believed you. You were right. At first I thought Aggie put like a spell on her, but no, I think the spell was just Christian trauma.
Like, the spell was literally just religious trauma.
Yeah.
Like, which is one of the most powerful spells, I think you could, and both of us probably know.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful spells one can go through.
Yeah, and at my very, very last note is, while the people stand around in City Hall Plaza, they admire the Cromwells and then applaud them as they're seen off. This could be interpreted as them being hailed as heroes, or simply being revered and feared as aristocracy usually was by their charge. And I...
So...
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, if like the Cromwells are like the overseers of this pocket dimension,
Mm-hmm.
why is Grandma moving away?
Why is Grandma moving? Well, I here's the thing, is that wasn't what Grandma asked. It was what Gwen offered, right? And so I believe that, first of all, I mean, any opportunity for Aggie to be in the children's life more than one night a year is an opportunity for her to more fully sort of allow them to come into her manipulative world.
Right.
Right. And also, I can't. I mean, I imagine they're gonna go back to Halloweentown. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna like that's how it's ultimately gonna end.
Yeah.
Next Halloween, you know, there's gonna be some kind of worldly strife, some secular problem.
Mhm.
You know, the election's gonna go wrong or something, and
very
and-
conveniently. Yeah.
yeah, Gwen is like, "What do we do?" Aggie's gonna be like,
Oh, well, you're safe in Halloweentown.
Oh, I hate Aggie so much.
she
She's
sucks,
so
and I
scary.
believe more thoroughly than ever that she sucks.
So
This is so. Yeah. Do you have more?
I mean, it's just looking back at this movie. The second time I watched it through, with this full context that I had, it becomes kind of scary because, like, I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar with the character Homelander, right, from The Boys, the big scary
yeah.
Superman type guy. And I'm sure you've heard how
Yummers.
Yummers. Every scene that he is in, people are like, "Oh, it's so scary because anything could happen because he's like big and scary and powerful." The second time I watched Halloweentown, that's how I felt about Aggie, because like I it's seriously, every single thing she does is so fucked
She
up.
is. Oh my god! I literally am just thinking she has like the same screen presence.
Yeah,
You're absolutely
She
right.
has the
Like
same-
once you know,
Like she has the same lunatic confidence. Yeah.
once you're on your second watch, and after you yet again see her turn all the chickens in the refrigerator into live chickens, it's literally like
It's so scary.
it's actually like after Homelander in the Yummers scene like grabs Adrian and
Right?
it's like, what the fuck did you say to me? Like, is he gonna kill him?
It's-
Is he actually gonna kill him?
She fucking I think that, like, that to me, that sort of air was established as soon as she said just be grateful she doesn't like liver. Like, those are the stakes? That can like that can just happen in this world? Like, you can just be killed by magic? And
Oh my god.
I think they never really touch on that because it's a children's movie, but I think that there are some really scary, dark things that are heavily implied on screen, talking about the afterlife, the river Styx, you know, talking about these, you know, reciting fucking 6th and 13th century Welsh hymns and Latin
Happy
hymns.
Halloween, like truly.
It's scary, and I'm sorry, everybody, that there wasn't necessarily as thorough as of a through line, and this was definitely, I think, our most rambled theory episode yet, but, like, I would defy you to go and watch Halloweentown after hearing our crackpot theories.
Try to unsee what we have seen. Truly, you cannot fucking unring this church bell. You can't do it.
The first time both of us watched this, we thought we resolved to ourselves. First of all, can't unring this church bell. That's cute. I like that. That was
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, the first time we watched this, we both resolved to ourselves, we haven't done this in a while. If we don't see anything, we're not gonna like force it. We want to have fun because we want to make this. It's fun. It wasn't hard.
And it was just, they literally handed to you on a fuck. I am telling you right now, I tried so hard to not see the fucking
tried to deviate.
Matrix in this movie. I tried so fucking hard to be like, oh, well, Marnie would definitely have a better life if she was a lesbian. Like, I tried so hard to, like, fucking think from that angle.
Right.
But the moment that scene in the kitchen happens, I'm like, this movie, it's evangelical. It's Christianity, it's Catholicism, it's Pentecostalism, all the way down.
It's so
from
hard
toe
to
to
not.
tip.
It's so hard to not like. I when you make a podcast where you have to make up a crackpot theory and you have to make it interesting, the first thing that you have to do is ignore the first most obvious theory that you always get, because that's gonna be like, if it hands itself to you on a silver platter like that, usually it's gonna be kind of boring. I was reading these messages from the movie as if it's what the directors were trying to tell me directly.
It quite literally, and I don't say this as a joke, it insists upon itself. This
fucking
reading.
insists upon itself.
Like, you cannot fucking escape. You can't escape it. Just like none of the citizens of Halloweentown can escape.
Just like none of the fucking citizens of Halloweentown can escape the fucking grasping palm of the Cromwell aristocratic family and their centuries-long dominion over their hell.
So, what I'm currently seeing is that I think from a historical perspective, you've got it pretty on lock.
I think, also, hang on, I should really tie this back into the Wizards of Waverly Place universe.
Yeah.
Halloweentown does not take place in the Wizarding world, I should say. the reason it doesn't fucking line up is because she is describing the Wizarding World to the kids as like that backstory as to how Halloweentown was created as a way to like justify it. This is
so the Waverly Place thing is like a kind of a red herring.
Well, it's not necessarily a red herring because it's
or Halloweentown specifically.
Yes.
Does not take place. Okay.
So it's in the same universe, but it's not. Halloweentown doesn't take place in the Wizarding World. Though,
No, Halloweentown is its own like pocket.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
But the real world that they inhabit is the same real world that like fucking Alex Russo inhabits.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and she fucking lies about it because she can't tell them, oh, this is hell that we made. We made hell real. So no, she's not gonna say that. She's gonna say, oh, we had to make this place because we were being attacked by the mortals, you know. And
I do. I wonder if this can be true, again, from like the historical and like world building aspect, while also keeping the sort of like emotional kind of like
I think it can.
Angle.
I know. I think that nothing that you
because you have the world building and then you have the intent of the filmmakers emotionally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have the story,
and this
and
is
then you have the setting.
And again, I have to stress this is the intent. of
this
the
is what they told me. They came to me in a vision and they revealed all this to me.
They sent me an email. I saw it in a dream.
We got the fucking like the gamers edition of the Blu-ray that came with like the fucking Dev Vibe Bible with all the secret lore of Halloweentown that you missed. So what we say is true, and you should take it as canon. But also, I don't remember how we got on this train of thought. But yeah, no, it is just real.
Oh, I was just saying, like, how do we reconcile our two?
Oh yeah, no, I think that
because we came in from the top, like we kind of touched on the same thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I think that the two exist perfectly well within each other because you exist the story as it happened, and not the story as it happened. You explained the sort of means of how the characters got to the point of where they were, and I explained the means of how the world got to the point where it was.
Oh my god.
And then we saw the story take place in front of us. And like we didn't have to read into like subtext. I mean, obviously there were characters that were representative of things, but I think they were representative of things while also being able to be interpreted literally as what they were on screen, you know? And I mean, in the same way that characters in other movies are representative of other things, while you're also supposed to interpret them literally within the story that they're in, you know? So
yeah,
I think that your theory and my theory are perfectly in sync with each other. I think maybe like there's some parts like the Calabar thing. No, I think that the Calabar thing does make sense because it makes sense that he would have been the one dating Gwen in this world that she was supposed to see over, that he was also sort of brought up in this pastory sort of household.
Yeah, well, and you got to think like, you know, just allegorically, like, yeah, this world is not exactly me. Like maybe allegorically, this world could be considered like a representation of the church, but literally in the history of it, yeah, Halloweentown is not like a church congregation. But if in the literal history of it, which we have established is literal and true and intentional, if it was, you know, from a sort of like Catholic perspective, there would have to be like a church presence.
Yeah.
I imagine.
I wondered at parts if there was like a conscious morphing of what Halloweentown actually was by the grandma before they went in, because this is perhaps where everything else I've said is completely reasonable. This might be kind of crackpot, which is I was thinking that maybe grandma was trying to she was gonna explain Halloweentown as something different before the kids sort of started asking about it, because at that point she looks like she's doing mental arithmetic and she starts describing it as Halloweentown. Because I thought maybe in that moment that she was morphing this place that was far different from what it was to fit within the vision of what children could view as, like, palatable, what a child could comprehend, you know?
Scout.
Yeah.
What if she didn't have to do it in that moment?
What do you mean?
What if there was a perfect opportunity for her to have used her power to morph Halloweentown into a palatable version for the kids before they ever got there?
Oh, yeah? What do you think?
The book. The fucking book.
These people.
The book where at the very we see the book contains imagery of locales and people and jobs and environments that we see all throughout the rest of the film, and at the very end, it's Marnie
flying away.
Only the distinct white girl with bangs.
It had to have been her.
What if that book was another relic?
Oh, we have to. Chat. Tune in next Halloween where we're gonna watch Halloween.
Expand
2.
on this in the comments.
we're gonna in the Halloweentown 2 theory. We're gonna expand on this.
Oh my God, there are sequels. Fuck.
Yeah, but you didn't think about that.
I forgot we have to do this again.
We have to. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no.
But I think for now, at the very least, 3.5 hours later.
Yeah, you think 3.5 hours into the raw recording, we probably got something?
I think maybe they're kind of starting to see our point. You know?
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're just excited to be back. And also, this is like easily the fucking most. This is the most meaty.
Oh yeah, this is
one we've ever covered.
It felt like it had more like budget, and it had more care. You know, it felt like it had something to say. Whereas the other ones were like shows for kids to watch. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what? No, one of them is definitely a movie about like World War II simulation.
No, yeah, you're totally right.
Like the kids having psychic powers.
No, you're completely correct about that. I'm sorry, I misremembered. It's been a while.
Oh, well,
everybody, I hope you enjoyed episode 4 of Mount Molehill, and I hope that you're excited for many more to come. I can't promise.
I hope so. In all actuality, I mean, we're probably not going back to like a we're probably not going back to like a weekly or bi-weekly schedule immediately, but like goddamn, maybe not 4 years from now. I guess we say that every time, but like, you know, maybe like next month or something.
I remember I made a joke at the end of the last episode that was like, oh yeah, fucking episode 8, which is gonna be like the end of 2024, because I thought like, wouldn't that be crazy if it took us that long? Yeah.
Nope.
No, couldn't.
Holy fuck.
Be sure to support us on Patreon. No, we don't have it. That's a joke. I'm just kidding.
That's a joke.
Everybody, this has been another lovely episode, another easygoing episode of Mount Molehill.
Another episode of Mount Molehill that did not give me a headache by the end of it, just down to pure exhaustion.
Oh yeah, no. I'm so looking forward to smoking weed and going to sleep. This movie is really something. I think that I don't want to watch it again. But also because I think that might just be because I'm so scared of it now.
We've like officially ruined the vibes.
We two traumatized religious kids accidentally traumatized ourselves with the Halloweentown movie.
You gotta imagine Aggie's gonna be in Halloweentown too, and we're gonna have to fucking deal with that at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck. Oh.
That's neither here nor there.
Tune in next Halloween for Halloweentown 2 Calabar's Revenge. I wonder who the bad guy is going to be. It's not Calabar because he's dead.
Yeah.
And chat, if you love something, you got to let it go.
Chat, remember, magic is very simple. You got to want something and then let yourself have it.
Chat.
Like more Mount Molehill episodes.
Chat, magic is very simple. You just got to have something and make it out of nothing. You know?
Don't be a wastrel youth.
Don't be a fucking wastrel youth of the night.
Don't be a fucking wastrel youth of benighted hours, okay? Or else you'll be vanquished by my flowers.
Be fucking sure, and this is so important, to follow us on Blue Sky, because we're not going to the other one. You can follow us at Mount Molehill. We just got we fucking jumped on it quick, so
That's right.
It's not Mount Molecast anymore. We got mountmolehill.sky.social. So follow us there. You can also follow specifically me, Clown Deepa, all one word, on sky.social. You can follow Penny on Snap Cube, no S, Blue Sky Social. And you can do anything you want, ever.
That you wanna do. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh my god, wait, hang on. What is that from? You do anything? Is that Blue's Clues?
Blue's Clues!
Yes! Fuck yeah! Everybody, thanks for coming. Tune in next week. We're gonna
Next week, Blue's Clues.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Smart House Blue's Clues. Bye!
Smart House Blue's Clues!